will not play. Hello, everyone. Along with Bob Trumpy, this is Sam Nover. It's an absolutely perfect day, not a cloud in the sky, 65 degrees in Pittsburgh. However, everything is not perfect with the Steelers.
No, Friday in the Steelers practice, Jack Lambert, with no contact whatsoever, somehow has bruised his shoulder, strained his shoulder somewhat. They x-rayed it. It is not seriously injured, but it's injured enough that he probably will not play today.
And if that were the only thing the Steelers had to concern themselves with today, they could probably cope with it very easily. But they have played 3 games this season, and they have played without a great deal of regulars on the defensive line. Again today, as you know, Bob, L.C. Greenwood will not start, Steve Furness will not play, and Ronnie Johnson will not play.
And replacing those guys, first of all, J.T. Thomas, starting his first game in 2 years for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next is Dirt Winston. He'll replace Jack Lambert in the middle, and they're not missing much when Dirt Winston plays. On the defensive line, Tom Beasley played excellent, had a great game against Houston a couple of weeks ago, and Gary Dunn, he leads the team in sacks. So don't panic, Pittsburgh fans. They can still play defensive football.
How about offense? Franco Harris will not start. John Cobb on the offensive line will not start. Sam Davis will not start. It doesn't end. But the Baltimore Colts have had their share of problems, and their leader is still hurting.
You're right. The guy that got them to the playoffs in their great years a few years ago, Burt Jones. He is not throwing the ball well. He bruised his shoulder 2 weeks ago. I do not think he's recovered from his shoulder problems last year. Greg Landry will get the start and probably play the whole day. That hurts Baltimore's offense.
And the most bizarre story of all, Steve Mickemeyer is the place kicker. Tony Linhart isn't here. I don't know where he is. Do you?
Well, let's see. This is what happened. Tony Linhart missed the last-second field goal against Cleveland last week. The owner, Mr. Irsay, offers him a $10,000 raise. He accepts, but they cut him. Steve Mickemeyer comes in, takes the job over. I do not want to ask Mr. Irsay for a raise.
NFL 79 continues from Pittsburgh in just a moment. With Bob Trumpy, Sam Nover, Three River Stadium, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Baltimore Colts. Game number 4 of the 1979 season. Welcome, everyone. A magnificent day for football. 65 degrees, a cloudless sky up above. And Steve Mickemeyer set to kick it deep to Larry Anderson, number 30 in the middle. Anderson, a short kick, falls down at the 20-yard line. Picks it up, trying to reverse his field, and they got him back at the 15. Larry Anderson having trouble with his footing and dropped back at the 15-yard line, so a return of a -5 yards. Brian DeRue is the man who made the stop up.
That's an ominous beginning for Mr. Mickemeyer. He only kicked it about 30 yards, and that's one of the reasons that they got rid of Tony Linhart. Steelers on offense. Here we go. Bradshaw, Sidney Thornton replacing Franco Harris, and the ever-present Rocky Bleier.
So the Steelers will go to work now. First series, 17-yard line. The receivers very familiar to you. Stallworth and Swan, probably the best duet in pro football, and Grossman the tight end. Hand off to Thornton to about the 18-yard line, stacked up by the left side. Freddie Cook, 72, the left end, is the man who made the stop. The Steelers with a patchwork offensive line today. It is really unbelievable how they're even able to field an offensive line. Ted Peterson starts in front of John Cobb. Sam Davis is hurt, so Dornbrook at left guard. Webster, Mullins, and Brown, of course, are the regulars. Second down, 9. Bradshaw, the quarterback. Steelers at their own 18-yard line. Bleier, inside handoff. Gets outside of Mullins and is brought down as he reaches maybe the 19-yard line. Dwight Harrison, the right cornerback, makes the stop.
Sam, one quick note. They are playing it on that end of the field. They've replaced the turf down there. It is very, very slick. You're going to have, all the players are going to have problems keeping their footing down at that end of the field. So far, there you see the defensive line. Fred Cook, who has had an excellent year so far. Barnes, Orvis is replacing Joe Ehrman. Ron Fernandez for the Baltimore Colts.
We're replacing John Dutton, who is back in Nebraska,
yes.
We are told, preparing to open a steakhouse. Lifting weights as he prepares. Bradshaw avoids one man. Throws it over the middle. He's got Swan and a great defensive play and intercepted. The Baltimore Colts have intercepted the football. Nesby Glasgow is the man who picked it off. It was deflected by Bruce Laird. Swan tried for the circus catch that he's known for.
Sam, there is one thing about Pittsburgh being so hurt as you watch Bradshaw setting up for this. Still good mobility. And that is any psychological edge a team can get when they're 0-3 is going to help them a great deal. With Pittsburgh being as hurt as it is, it's going to help Baltimore a great deal today.
Well, the Colts are a much better team than their 0-3 record would indicate. By all rights, they think they should be 2-1 and perhaps 3-0. They have excellent field position at the Pittsburgh 40, and Landry to Roger Carr. First down at the 26-yard line. Dropped there by Mel Blount, but Carr gets the Colts in field goal range at least, and a first down at the Pittsburgh 26.
From behind Greg Landry momentarily there. Here we go again. Good quick slant by Roger Carr. The tag against Roger Carr is that he won't catch the ball in the crowd or over the middle. But that's over the middle, and that's in a crowd. Mel Blount is a crowd by himself.
That young man has 9.5 speed on the 100. He had 7 catches. Last week in Cleveland, however, dropped one in the end zone that could have won the game. Joe Washington, flags are down inside the 20, carries a man to the 15. Flags are down, and while we wait for the call, here's your backfield. Landry, you've heard about. Washington, you just saw. And the running mate for Washington will be Roosevelt Leaks, because Don Hardiman is hurt, and he will not start. In fact, they've only got 3 healthy backs.
And they only have 2 quarterbacks, and their backup quarterback is Don McCauley for the Baltimore Colts. That's going to be a 5-yard penalty against the Pittsburgh Steelers for jumping off sides. And Baltimore, as they have in their previous 3 games, starts out quickly.
Remind me when we have time, and I hope we will on this afternoon, to ask you why Baltimore carries 2 quarterbacks when one of them is injured, and they know that going in.
Sam, I don't have an answer for that, or I'd be the general manager of the Baltimore Colts. They're taking a chance. There's no doubt about that, because Landry is susceptible to injury. Carr, Dowdy, McCall, good receivers.
McCall's caught them 1 pass all year. He was their #1 draft choice last year. Colts with the first down at the 15 of Pittsburgh. Washington for a couple of yards, stacked up by Beasley, 65. And let's see who gets off the bottom of the pile. As we told you during our NFL 79 pregame show, Steve Furness and L.C. Greenwood are definitely out of this football game. Not just that they're not starting, but they will not play. Lambert is available. They do not expect him to play. Ron Johnson, the right cornerback, will not play. J.T. Thomas starting in his place. I said right cornerback, I meant left cornerback. Second down, 9, Baltimore. Pittsburgh's 14-yard line. We're scoreless first quarter.
Whoops.
Movement, obviously, in the line, and let's see whether or not it was Pittsburgh.
Sam, I would expect Baltimore to try to take advantage of Dennis Winston up the middle. He is a good linebacker against the run, not quite so good against the pass, and Jack Lambert comes in, and I guess the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive coaches know exactly what I'm talking about. I would watch for the tight end.
There was, incidentally, no flag on that particular play. Don McCauley in the backfield. Lambert, as you saw, went in at middle linebacker. So with that bruised shoulder and all, Lambert's in there. Landry, quick pass out here to his tight end, 86, Reese McCall, and he gets inside the 10-yard line. He'll be shy of a first down to about the, well, they spotted right on the 10-yard line.
Well, Mr. Mickelmeyer is going to get his chance to prove whether or not Ted Marchibroda was right in releasing Tony Lynn Hart. He missed 3 last week, and a game they could have won. There he is.
So Landry will hold, and Baltimore will attempt to capitalize on the interception by Glasgow. Steve Mickelmeyer, who beat out, ironically, former Steeler place kicker Roy Girella in an audition of sorts in Baltimore earlier this week for the job. He will attempt from the 17-yard line a kick of 27. It's in that direction, and it is good. So Steve Mickelmeyer kicks a 27. The interception, the Colts lead at 3-0. Here's his kick. A little better than the first one. Anderson at his 5-yard line. To the 20, and down he goes. And how's this for irony? At almost the identical time that Steve Mickelmeyer was kicking a 27-yard field goal here in Pittsburgh, his younger brother Nick, who just took over for Tom Dempsey in Buffalo, kicked a 23-yarder.
Who also beat out Roy Girella in Buffalo.
That's right.
On the other side of the coin,
yes,
we have Matt Barr kicking for Pittsburgh. His brother Chris is kicking in Cincinnati.
This scenario could go on and on forever.
Well, it's all tied together.
Now back to reality. The Steelers down 3-0 from their own 20, and Bradshaw on first down has a man wide open. He hits Swan at the 32-yard line for a first down if they allow it. And they do. They being referee Gordon McCarter, and while I've got his name out, let's go through the rest of the crew. The umpire is Tony Kramer, the head linesman Bill Ross. Jack Fetty is the line judge, Bob Rice the back judge, Bill Quinby the side judge, and Armin Terzian is the field judge. First down, Pittsburgh, their first of the day. It's got to make them feel a little bit better, Robert. Good linebackers. Sanders Shiver has really come into his own. Flyer can't do a thing. He runs into 55, the middle backer Barry Krause, the #1 draft choice from Alabama, and Mike Barnes, a 7-year veteran from Miami.
And Harris is hurt.
Middle linebacker Barry Krause for the Baltimore Colts. Screen to Sidney Thornton. 30, 35, 40, 45, midfield. Still on his feet. First down at the Baltimore 47.
Here we go again from behind Barry Krause. One thing that's always amazed me about the Pittsburgh Steelers team, and I've played against them for 10 years and didn't like any game that I played, no matter who they put in there, they seem to respond. This is a very well-coached football team. Everybody knows their assignment. They play together, and that's why Sidney Thornton can come in there, and you really don't notice the difference when Franco Harris is out. Once again, almost stumbles. He's on the slick part of the field there.
One of the products of that great draft of 1977. First down, Bradshaw play action. He wants more. Has all day. A home run ball for Stallworth. He's got a touchdown, Pittsburgh. Flag is down, but I believe it's against Baltimore. What an outstanding catch by Stallworth.
I agree. And Lynch Swan gets the tag whenever you look at Pittsburgh for his acrobatic catches. But Stallworth has emerged as the most consistent receiver so far this year for Pittsburgh. And that ball was underthrown. This was a second thought by Terry Bradshaw. He's looking everywhere. And Stallworth goes up and gets it over Dwight Harrison. 6 points Pittsburgh, and they'll do that to you all day long.
And the protection was the amazing part of that, because the Steelers, as we mentioned, are playing with a patchwork front line. Tom Dornbrook, Ted Peterson. Helping Bradshaw have all day. The extra point by Barr is up. It's perfect. 2 minutes and 13 seconds to drive 80 yards in 6 plays. And the Steelers waste no time in erasing a 3-0 deficit. They lead the Baltimore Colts 7-3. We'll have their kickoff in a moment. The 3 deep men for Baltimore. Nesby Glasgow is a man in the middle. He's the man they want to get the football to. At least Baltimore does. Averaging better than 25 yards a kickoff return. And he will field this ball at about his 9. 20, 25. Met head on. Spins away to the 30-yard line and across to the 32. An excellent return by Glasgow. And while the Colts offensive unit comes on the field, some scores. New England on a Sam Cunningham run leads San Diego. That's an outstanding battle in New England today. 7-0 the Patriots. Cincinnati has gone on top of Houston 7-0. Big Pete Johnson a 1-yard run, and your Bengals lead the Oilers, Trumpy.
My Bengals?
Well, your former Bengals.
Former Bengals, okay.
That's right. You're a persona non grata with Paul Brown now, aren't you?
Yeah, but I still like that football team.
I know you do. From the 32, second man is Washington. Maybe a yard. Boy, this is just a different football team with Jack Lambert in there, and that is not meant as a put down to Dirt Winston at all. And now I take it back as I see Winston is a man on top who made the stop. 53.
Lambert is on the sideline. Lambert is on the sideline. Pittsburgh does this to you so many times. You go out there with a little psychological edge, their defense takes it away from you immediately, and their offense pounces on you.
Those of you watching in Detroit will be happy to know that rookie Jeff Comlow has hit Freddie Scott with a 15-yard pass. The Lions lead Atlanta 7-0. Here it's 7-3 Pittsburgh. First quarter action. Washington, little daylight, squirts to the 38-yard line. Washington has that great ability to find just a little bit of daylight and squirt for some yardage. He is the leading rusher and receiver on this ball club, and in fact the second leading receiver in the AFC at the moment.
But let's watch Dirt Winston replacing Jack Lambert. Good lateral pursuit, and as you people who watch middle linebackers, they've got to keep track of that ball. And Winston is an able middle linebacker replacing Jack Lambert. And that's one of the amazing things about this football team. No matter who goes in there, they play like world champions. There he is, out with a shoulder injury.
Came on for a couple of plays, though, when they needed him at the 15-yard line. Third down. Flags are down to first down for Baltimore all the way up to the 45-yard line as Roosevelt leaks carries. But 2 markers are down, and we'll just have to wait and see what the call's all about.
Defensive offsides.
That 20/20 vision from where you speak. It is indeed. Well, the Jets came right back with a field goal. Pat Leahy, 30 yards. The Jets and Buffalo tied at 3. That's first quarter action in Buffalo. There's Burt Jones along the sidelines. He keeps looking every week as if he might play a little, but he doesn't.
Sam, he was criticized by the Baltimore Colts owner later in the week in Baltimore. That's not unusual to have Mr. Irsay taking on a player. But I do think Burt Jones is hurt seriously. He is a very tough kid. He's a real competitor, and I think he wants to be out there. There's his head coach, Ted Marchibroda. Everybody knows about the confrontation that Teddy's had with Mr. Irsay.
Marchibroda's got about 35 comp tickets out for this one. He comes back home to Franklin, Pennsylvania. His wife's from Oil City. They've got both towns spilled out here into Three River Stadium. Landry throwing it out, sideline pattern to Carr. Another flag is down. This in the offensive backfield of Baltimore, and usually when you see it, it's offensive holding. Robin Cole and Mel Blunt had the coverage on Carr.
No, I think we have pass interference. They tried to run a screen there. I think they're going to offsides. Okay, offsides, Pittsburgh. Now, you mentioned that Ted Marchibroda is from this area. He was a first-round draft choice for the Pittsburgh Steelers back in 1953, a quarterback.
Isn't just what the graphic says, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. There's an echo in here.
A video echo. So with the referee's mic, as you can tell, and we apologize for that. Second down, less than a yard. Dive play straight ahead for the first down to the Steeler 37-yard line. So Baltimore has moved the ball reasonably well.
They'll do something funny to try to upset a young offensive line of the Baltimore Colts right here.
And the give this time to Leaks inside the 40 to about the 38-yard line. Picking up 4, perhaps 5 on the carry. Pratt is doing a job on Gary Dunn
so far.
Second down, 4. Baltimore trailing 7-3. Landry. Washington cuts it back up the middle. He started to go outside on the sweep. And number 76, John Banaszak, would have none of that. The former Eastern Michigan star was there to stop him. So it'll be third down and perhaps 3 or 4 now for Baltimore. And as you see there, the Steeler defense is indeed number 1 in total defense in 1979. Jack Lambert replaces Gary Dunn. Third down, 3 Baltimore. Leaks and Washington remain the setbacks. Looking for the quick pop, throws the home run to Carr, and he's got him! Touchdown, Baltimore! What a great call by Greg Landry on 3rd and 3 at the Pittsburgh 36. The fly pattern to Roger Carr. He caught him in one-on-one coverage with J.T., and it's a touchdown, Baltimore.
Well, I think Pittsburgh made a mistake. They showed the blitz too early here, allowed Landry to audible, and Carr with that 9.5 speed, he's averaged about 21 yards a catch throughout his career, just simply outruns J.T. Thomas, and that's a fine throw by Greg Landry. 1, 2, 3, 6, and over the shoulder, holder.
Well, you can see the immediate difference in the offense of the Baltimore Colts when Roger Carr is in there, playing his first game last week, 7 catches. Has caught a couple already today as Mickemeyer tacks on the extra point. And with 4:50 to go here in the first quarter, the Baltimore Colts, who came into this game as 13.5-point underdogs, lead the Steelers 10-7. Sam Nover, Bob Trumpy back in Pittsburgh. You're looking at the respective head coaches. One is particularly happy, one is not particularly happy. Guess which is which, or whom is whom.
Well, Pittsburgh's not going to panic. They were behind 17 points last week in the second half and still came on to win the game. Here we go.
Larry Anderson again at his 3-yard line this time. It gets deeper each time for Mickemeyer. Trying to get outside across the 20, still on his feet, and finally pulled down as he reaches the 23-yard line. And again, it's Brian DeRue, the ex-New York Giant, who made the stop. 20 yards on the return. And a reminder that NBC's outstanding coverage of the baseball playoffs, of course, its tradition of excellence, postseason coverage, begins October 2nd, 8 o'clock Eastern time, in the stadium of the National League West winner, That will be either Cincinnati or Houston. Then the series continues Wednesday, October 3rd, the National League Game 2, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, and so on and so forth. And both those races are going right down to the wire. Sidney Thornton trips and goes down back at his 18-yard line. And so does the official, and the point you made, Bob, earlier is 100% accurate. The new surface, as they have put in, from the Baltimore 40 almost to the Steeler goal line, has made a world of difference in the footing. It is horrendous, to say the least. Well,
it was bad before because it's so hard down there, but now it's a new surface. It still has some chemical on the top of the fibers down there, and it is very slick.
New England has gone ahead of San Diego 14-0. Don Calhoun, a 10-yard run. Second down, Bradshaw rolling a little bit. Throws it out here to Thornton. He's got him at the 25 and out of bounds. Single coverage by Sanders Shiver, who is just having a great year for Baltimore. The 4-year veteran out of Carson Newman has really come into his own.
Came into training camp this year and earned his spot. There you see Barry Krause in the background. They have good linebackers, excellent linebackers. Shivers, Krause, first-round draft choice. Stan White, who was a lawyer in Baltimore in the offseason. I've heard of clubhouse lawyers, but he's got to be something else, I imagine, in there. But they're one of the real pluses of the Baltimore Colts defense.
Stan White is into contract negotiations for players, would you believe? He knows where it's at. Bradshaw with good stats, but his team is down 10-7. Third down and 7 for Pittsburgh. Good protection. Lobs it over the middle. He's got Thornton again, shy of the first down, and down he goes at the 32-yard line. Again, it was Sanders Shiver, and the Steelers will come up a couple of yards shy of the first down. So they will have to kick it deep to Baltimore, the first punt of the day, and on is Craig Colquitt.
Sam, let's be honest about this. Coming into this game, we thought it was going to be the Lions and the Christians here, but with all the injuries to Pittsburgh, it is a psychological advantage now for Baltimore. As long as they keep bottling up Pittsburgh a little bit, they'll give them a long pass. It's going to add fuel to Baltimore's fire.
Colquitt led the National Football League in net punting last year, and he booms this one. Glasgow, first man downfield, has him and throws him out of bounds. The rookie Dwayne Woodruff out of Louisville, back at the 17-yard line. A superior punt by Colquitt, and excellent coverage by Woodruff. 55 yards. We'll be back to Three River Stadium in a moment.
A lot of people think using Federal Express is complicated. But really, it's so simple, even a vice president can do it.
Hello, Federal.
All you do is pick up the phone. We come to your office and pick up the package. Well, even a president can do that.
Hello, Federal.
In fact, using Federal Express is so simple that even a chairman of the board can do it.
Hello!
Federal Express, when it absolutely, positively has to be there overnight.
Today, start at their own 17-yard line. They have been very impressive thus far. They lead the world champion Steelers 10-7. 3 minutes, 10 seconds to go first quarter, and former Detroit Lion Greg Landry has been at the helm all day. Washington, 20, 21-yard line, cutting back again off his own left side and beat
times, catch it 45 times, and throw it 2 times for touchdown.
However, he has never scored a touchdown rushing in his career. Can you believe that? Roosevelt leaks a yard or 2. Dirt Winston makes sure he goes no further.
Yes, I can believe that. That Joe Washington is
a lot better, and Leaks has not played until the day out of necessity because Hardeman is hurt. Dwayne Woodruff becomes the 5th defensive back in a nickel defense on 3rd down and 4 Baltimore. Landry throws it out here, incomplete. The pressure was on from Mean Joe Green, 75. And he hurried the throw by Landry. And Bucky Dilts, the former Denver Bronco punter, who's doing very well. He has found a rebirth, so to speak, here in Baltimore. Averaging over 40-yard a punt. Great hang time. Smith never fair catches the ball and doesn't this time. 35. Down he goes at about the 37 in the grasp of Robert Pratt, 60. 12-30 with NFL 79. Bryant Gumbel, Mike Adamle. Our 12:30 games, we'll get to those after this play. Some excellent pairings next week. Pittsburgh at its 38-yard line. Now the screen to Stallworth, nothing doing. Defense rather. Everything is so far trumpy. Larry Brazil has replaced the injured Dwight Harrison at cornerback. So more troubles for the Colts. Play action for Bradshaw. Flag is down. And Brad's going to run it. 45 out of bounds. Shy of the first down. Back at the 32-yard line.
They might go to work on number 47 of the Baltimore Colts right now.
That's Larry Brazil, the rookie out of Southern California. 10-7 Baltimore if you've just joined us. He throws it down here, and he's got Stallworth at the 45 and shy of a first down. In the grasp of Brazil, Bradshaw knows the rookie's on the field. A bad man to fashion yourself after.
What middle linebacker in the world grows up wanting to be anybody else but Dick Butkus?
You were my hero, Trumpy. Third down, 4 yards for Pittsburgh. Bradshaw to throw it again. He's got Stallworth, and he threw it in behind him. Well, there was confusion on that play, obviously. Bradshaw is scheming. Don't see that very often. He has some words. Look at him gesture.
Well, I think it was on Sidney Thornton. He wasn't supposed to be in there. There's the young man from Louisiana. Here we see it from behind Barry Krause. Sidney Thornton, I think, was in the wrong place at the wrong time. That ball was intended for Stallworth, and they were both standing there side by side. That's not the way they draw them up.
Excellent observation, Mr. Trumpy. Colquitt to punt it again. Glasgow at about his 13. He's an exciting young man. Look at the hole. 30, 35, cuts back at the 40 and down at the 44-yard line. Nesby Glasgow, a rookie out of the University of Washington, a superb punt return, but a penalty marker is down.
Well, the flag is going to be on the clip, but this has got to bother Chuck Noll. That's his expertise in this football team, getting everybody to go in the same direction on a 43-yard punt. There it is, personal foul, blocking below the waist on a punt return. That's illegal.
43 yards on the punt, 30 on the return by Glasgow. It's all for naught.
But anyway, last week, St. Louis ran back a punt for a touchdown against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Mr. Noll doesn't like that. He'll straighten somebody out.
There you see Nesby's season average of 11-4. They'll walk this one back off to the 14-yard line. It's from the spot of the clip.
Personal foul, blocking below the waist on a punt return, which is now illegal in the NFL. You cannot block below the waist.
That was better than having referee McCarter's microphone on. I think I like your description of that better. It's what we call lip syncing in the business.
Thank you, Sam.
21 seconds to go first quarter. It has been a shock to say the least at this point. Baltimore 10, Pittsburgh 7, and the Colts have earned that 10-7 lead. They have played very well. First down, Washington. He darts through a little hole to the 18-yard line, and Dirt Winston, you may have seen him slap his helmet in disgust as if to say, where was I? Donnie Shell and Beasley making the stop.
Sam, Dennis Winston is probably one of the best hitters on the Pittsburgh Steelers defensive line, but he's guessing, and so far he's guessing wrong. Jack Lambert with experience stands back there and really doesn't make the mistake of...
This is Sam Nover. More scores, yes indeed. The New England Patriots are a powerhouse, 17-0 over San Diego. 35 seconds to go first quarter. John Smith the field goal. John Adams, wasn't he a president once?
Yes, he was.
And now it's 14-0 Cincinnati over Houston.
Whoa.
Charles Alexander, a 2-yard run. The #1 draft choice out of LSU starting to pay dividends. Alexander the Great indeed. 10-7 here. It's Baltimore leading Pittsburgh. Second down, 4 for the Colts. Greg Landry, the quarterback, outside to Washington. To the 23-yard line, and free safety Mike Wagner pulls him down. Jones back up, but as the starting quarterback because of the injury to Jones. Don McCauley and Roosevelt Leaks now in the backfield. 2 tight ends on 3rd down and 1. Mac Alston and Reese McCall, and the carry is by Roosevelt Leaks, and he gets the first down.
Sam, that's 3 for 3 in 3rd down conversions, too.
They have it first down, 10 to go at the Baltimore 26-yard line. Both wide receivers are split right. Dowdy, 35, is slotted inside of Roger Carr. Play action for Landry. Looks downfield. They got him now. And he still got back to the line of scrimmage and picked up a yard.
Nobody open.
Well, if for any reason you joined us late, Dirt Winston, 53, is a middle linebacker. Jack Lambert, a bruised shoulder in practice Friday. They waited till game time today to see whether he could go. He did come on the field for 2 plays in the first series for Baltimore. Otherwise, it's been all Winston. Ooh. Oh, what a hit on the far side. J.T. Thomas absolutely flattened Roosevelt Leaks. Well, there's no small person at 5'10", 228.
Now they're down to 2 running backs, the Baltimore Colts are.
Well, he got up and went off under his own power. I presume he'll be all right. 3rd down and 9 Baltimore, and the Steeler crowd gets noisy. Landry, good protection, throws it out here and throws it away. Jim Smith, the former Michigan All-American, back in single safety, number 86. And as we pointed out, he has returned 60 straight punts without making a fair catch.
And he'll probably make it 61 if it's in play.
He can make book on that, I think. Bucky Dilts is back at his 15 to punt it away. He has been a wonderful surprise after the retirement of David Lee. 5, 38. Trying to get outside of the 40, looking for the wall. It is not there. And good coverage by the special team of the Baltimore Colts. The Steelers. Well, Pittsburgh, we know, has a great football team. They haven't got a bad baseball team either. The Pirates locked up in a death struggle with Montreal. Trumpy's team, the Cincinnati Reds and Houston Astros, going at it. NBC will cover the final week of the regular season for you next Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Bradshaw to Thornton at the 45. A flag is down. It's altogether possible, Trump, old buddy, that we could be playing some baseball National League playoffs in either Three River Stadium, Pittsburgh, or Riverfront Stadium, Cincinnati.
Just travel the Ohio River, holding against, I believe, Larry Brown. Just travel the Ohio River on the Delta Queen. Three Rivers and Riverfront, as you say.
Here's another score for you. David Whitehurst to James Lofton, 20 yards. The Minnesota Vikings and Green Bay Packers now tied at 7. That's in the second quarter at Minneapolis.
That's a great combination. James Lofton. Boy, I like him as a receiver for Green Bay. Long jumper out of Stanford. That kid's got a great deal of talent. Let's see if we can read his lips here and find out who did that. Holding number 79. Now, that guy made the supreme sacrifice. Larry Brown, who was an obscure tight end, became an even more obscure offensive lineman.
No, he's become a great offensive lineman, but I'm just absolutely amazed at your lip-syncing ability. I thought that was Gordon McCarter for a moment. I thought the mic had been fixed. Good draw. Thornton dragging people to the 40-yard line. And the Thundering Bull did just that. Thundered his way to the 40-yard line.
The Thundering Bull, yes.
He carried Sanders Shiver for about 4 yards.
Well, the strength of the Pittsburgh football team is their offensive line and defensive line. Mike Webster, Rocky Blyer leading up ahead. Look at the hole there. Sam, I think you could gain 10 yards against that. Here comes Sam Davis in, who is not supposed to play.
You got it. Corson coming out, 77. Sam Davis, who has suffered with a hamstring injury for the past couple of weeks, makes his first appearance in the ballgame, number 57. He'll be the offensive left guard. Bradshaw, second down and 9. Fires it over the middle to Randy Grossman. That'll be about a yard shy of the first down. Good coverage by Stan White, the linebacker, 53, and the middle backer, Barry Krause. But I think they'll come up a yard shy of the first down, maybe 2.
Baltimore faking the blitz there. Bradshaw not excited about it. Stands right there. Third down, Bradshaw goes to the sideline looking for a play. Well, yeah, when it's third down and 2, let the coach call it. I don't blame you. Here we see it from behind there, faking a blitz. White and Krause. Nice little hit by Krause there. And the back out of the backfield. No, that's Randy Grossman, excuse me. Good consistent receiver at tight end.
I think Dornbrook made one heck of a block. The sack pack was playing a game there, and Mike Barnes looked like he had come free. Blyer trying to get the first down. He's got it to midfield. Robert Patrick Blyer, the 11-year veteran out of Notre Dame, gets the first down. I bet you didn't know his first name, did you?
Every time that Franco Harris is out of the ball game, Rocky Blyer responds. He does a great job. He doesn't get a lot of ink. He's not particularly fast. He's not particularly big. He's just a great running back.
We just received word that Lynn Swan has come up with a leg injury, so he is on the sidelines. Jimmy Smith and John Stallworth are the wide receivers.
That makes 10 injuries for the Steelers today.
They are a battered and bruised football club, and they trail here 10-7 to Baltimore. Bradshaw throwing on almost every down. Blyer, 40, inside the 40 to the 36, and that's exactly how they beat St. Louis last Sunday afternoon. Trailing at one point in the ball game, 21-7. Bradshaw and Blyer brought him back to victory.
Update on Swanee, a pulled hamstring, but when you got a receiver like that coming out of the backfield, Rocky Blyer, you remember the catch? I'm sure you remember the catch he made against Dallas in the Super Bowl. The guy can do everything, and he has done it for 11 years. One of the best backfields in professional football ever, Harris and Blyer.
And again, if we have failed to repeat it often enough, Franco Harris, with a sprained ankle, is on the sidelines and not expected to see any action today. We could probably put ditto for another 12 or 13 Steelers. Long count by Bradshaw on 1st and 10. Throws it to Blyer again, same play to the 26-yard line.
Why not?
Bruce Laird, the strong safety, made the stop. and he is very close to another first down.
Well, what Bradshaw's doing here is setting up a play to somebody deep there. He's going to keep throwing at the Rocky Flyer until they cover him, and the first time they do that, leaves somebody else open. Good pass protection by Larry Brown, and the front line of the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to measure for the first down. Laird on the tackle. That guy, Rocky Flyer, can play for anybody, anytime, anywhere.
And he missed all of training camp, Bob, too, with an injury. First down, Pittsburgh. Swan is limping to the dressing room. Number 88.
Who has had all kinds of injuries this year, and he is holding his leg, hamstring, and has not got a TD pass yet this year. Has really not got on track. Missed most of the training camp, and probably that's why he comes up with an injury like that.
Bradshaw 10 out of 12 unofficially, 134 yards. What a remarkable first half Terry's having. Now the draw to Thornton inside the 25 to maybe the 24-yard line. Stopped by the middle linebacker Barry Krause, 55. 8:45 to go, second quarter.
Here's Barry Krause again, playing across from All-Pro center Mike Webster. And he's coming up, watching the football. Thornton on a good move, but Krause still on the tackle.
We may be having difficulty with our referees, Mike, but I hope the pictures are nice enough for you. Sent your way compliments of our director, Jimmy Cross, and producer, Kenneth Edmondson. We are in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. There is not a cloud in the sky. Bradshaw wants all to Stallworth, and it's out of the field of play. Bruce Laird, number 40, and Doug Nettles, number 30, had the double coverage on Stallworth, and you can bet your life that Stallworth will draw the double coverage with Swan sitting in the dressing room.
Well, you bet all day long. All day long. Here once again from behind Terry Bradshaw. And Baltimore is a good, well-coached defensive team. They're not going to give Bradshaw a chance to throw it to Stallworth. Double coverage all the way. I might have called interference there. Put his hands on him. That's illegal.
So it brings around third down and 8. Pittsburgh trailing 10-7, has the ball at the Baltimore 25-yard line. Jimmy Smith has replaced Swan. 5 defensive backs now for Baltimore as the rookie Nesby Glasgow replaces middle linebacker Barry Krause.
If I were Terry Bradshaw, I'd call him all number right here. There's nobody in the middle to stop me.
Steps up in the pocket, throws it down to Smith, and he just overthrew him under the goalpost. He had Jimmy Smith on a post pattern, just overthrew him in the shadow of the goalpost.
So they're going to bring on Matt Barr. There's nobody, no middle linebacker there. I bet you sometime before this day's over against that defense, quarterback draw, and Bradshaw took a hit. Slightly overthrown, just ever so little. Almost another 6 points.
So Matt Barr will attempt to tie the ball game. Craig Colquitt spots it at the 32-yard line. Barr an attempt of 42 yards to tie this game at 10. He's got the leg, but he kicked it right. It is no good. Matt Barr, the Penn State rookie, now 3 out of 7 on the year in field goal attempts, has missed from 42 yards, and the Colts remain on top by 3. Trumpy in Pittsburgh, delighted to have you with us. 8:05 to go, second quarter. Baltimore 10, the Pittsburgh Steelers 7. Greg Landry and company will go back to work after Matt Barr's missed field goal attempt from the 25.
And Roosevelt Leaks, who took that terrible shot from J.T. Thomas, is back in the ball game.
Ken Mendenhall, the veteran center out of Oklahoma. Landry to pass on first down. Has a man wide open, Carr, at the 35-yard line. And they allow the catch. The partisans here in Pittsburgh don't like it, but Carr is having himself quite a day, isn't he?
Questionable. Last week he had 7 receptions. This guy is a deep threat, a 9.5 sprinter. And the defensive back is respecting that speed, J.T. Thomas. Just a simple out of time pattern. Let's see if he gets his feet down. Well, that's close enough. It's a reception, 1st and 10.
Carr was hampered by a muscle pull early in the year. And as you see there, his stats from last week, what is not told on that statistical sheet, however, is that he dropped the winning touchdown pass in the end zone.
Unfortunately, Baltimore's receivers have made a habit of doing that this year. Reese McCall dropped one against, I believe it was Kansas City. Am I not mistaken?
I think you're right.
And he was wide open for a touchdown, so that's why they say Baltimore is very close to being, well, it's going to be second down in a little bit.
Of course, the reason that Tony Linhart is no longer with his ball club, he missed an extra point in the Tampa Bay game. Tampa Bay won it in overtime, 29-26. Baltimore should have won it, 27-26. He missed 3 out of 4 field goals in Cleveland last week. The Browns won that one in overtime, 13-10. And they really played Kansas City tooth and nail, and the ball game could have turned, I believe, on the catch you're talking about that was not made by Reese McCall. So this club could very well be 3-0.
They have also led in every game that they've played so far this season in the regular season, going into the fourth quarter, and lost all 3 games.
We are just a vast storehouse of information about Baltimore, aren't we, Trumpy?
Yes, we are.
Second down, less than one yard to go for Baltimore. And the second man through. Washington squeezes to the 35. I believe he has a first down. Robin Cole, 56, is a linebacker who was on top. At the bottom was Banaszak. Here's some more scores. The New York Jets on another Tom Newton run now lead the Buffalo Bills 17-6. That's second quarter. And Cincinnati on another Pete Johnson run of 1 yard, blowing out the Oilers at Riverfront, Cincinnati, 21-zip. They don't appear to miss Trumpy, at least on this Sunday afternoon.
I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see it.
First down, Baltimore, leading here 10-7. Landry, little slide pattern. He's got Dowdy in Pittsburgh territory at the 45. Stopped there by Donnie Shell, but Landry is really picking him apart.
Okay, a lot of people talk about the double rotation zone of Pittsburgh. They're the ones that invented it. And what he's doing is going outside the cornerback. Landry is putting it right in the dead spot, right over J.T. Thomas to Glenn Dowdy, who has been complaining that they haven't been throwing him the football. And here we see it all by himself. You'll see the bump by J.T. Thomas at the line of scrimmage, I hope. And then he hits him in the dead spot.
Back to live action. 6:48 to go, second quarter. Baltimore has it at the Pittsburgh 45. Dowdy in motion. And to give to Washington, trying to reverse his field, nothing doing. Dirk Winston was there, so was Tom Beasley, 65. And Beasley has some very large shoes to fill. The man that most experts, and I notice I say most, consider to be the best defensive end in pro football, L.C. Greenwood, still sidelined with a knee injury.
You know why? I blocked against that guy for 10 years. He's not that big, but he's like a spring. You can't hit him solid. No matter where you hit him, he's on his feet and he makes the tackle. Most frustrating guy in professional football to block, but he's out today.
Second down 10, Baltimore. This is where the Steeler defense usually gets very tough. Flag is down and the pass is batted down. There are 2 markers in the Pittsburgh secondary. I take it back, there is but 1. But it is very large at the 35 of Pittsburgh.
I think that's going to be illegal contact by the Pittsburgh defensive backs. Holding, Pittsburgh.
You are on today, Trumpy.
Well, I watched the tight end, and I think when you watch the tight end and the strong safety, you can get a read as to exactly what's going to happen quicker than you can watching anything else. Holding, number...
You can't read that one, huh?
I can't read it.
Good try.
I can't read it.
Anyway, for effort.
Anyway, here we go. Decent pass rush, not too much. I think that's on Dirk Winston.
Beasley batted the ball out of midair. But the holding call against the Steeler defense sets Baltimore up with a second down and 5 at the 40-yard line of Pittsburgh. The Colts 10, the Steelers 7. Play action for Landry. He's got Carr streaking for the goal line. And he overthrew him. Mike Wagner, the free safety, came over to meet him after Mel Blount let him go. But Carr is a burner, 9.5 and 100. And he was down there, but Landry overthrew him in the end zone.
That's what he does best. You realize that in 1976, he caught passes for 1,100 yards in 1976. He averaged 21.7 yards a catch. I mean, he is a legitimate deep threat every day.
It has been said, those critics of Roger Carr, that he is scared to death to catch the ball in traffic. Have you heard that, Bob Trumpy?
Yes. And I imagine that Pittsburgh has heard that, too, since we've heard it up here.
John Smith has kicked another field goal, another 31-yarder, New England 20. San Diego nothing. Big third down play here for the Colts. Straight ahead, nothing doing. Roosevelt leaks, trying to cross him up a little bit on an obvious passing situation. I believe I said it was third. That was a second down and 10 call. And now it'll bring around third down and 10.
Honestly, I don't understand that call, because when you've got 3rd and 10, you're playing into Pittsburgh's hands. They put in an extra linebacker or an extra defensive back, then it's awful tough to get the ball down the field. 2nd and 10, I'd say, would be your chance to throw the ball. 3rd and 10 is when you run it.
Don McCauley, the clutch player for Baltimore, number 23, replaces Roosevelt Leaks. Now we're 3rd down. Nearly 10 yards to go for Greg Landry at the Pittsburgh 40. Good protection. Throws it over here to Carr, and he can't get it. Mel Blunt had the coverage. There's a real stallion for you. Number 47, Melvin Blunt, the perennial all-pro right cornerback. And he had no mistake on Carr that time. Had him on the sideline pattern.
I bruised my chin on his elbow a couple of times. Or bruised his elbow on my chin. However that goes. That was a desperation pass.
And so Bucky Dilts will punt it away to Jimmy Smith again. Punt number 4 on the day for Bucky Dilts. 5:09 to go, and the Colts still clinging to that 10-7 lead over Pittsburgh. Oh, he hung that spiral up there nice, didn't he? Aiming for the out of bounds, and he nailed it inside the 10 at about the 8-yard line. Another outstanding punt by Bucky Dilts. So Pittsburgh goes to work deep in its own territory when we come back. All of the offensive linemen on the roster on the field at the moment. They have no one else. Mullins is now out. Cobb is hurting. He could play if absolutely necessary. Sammy Davis is hurting. Yeah, he played a little bit, so they really have some problems up there. At the moment, they've got Peterson and Brown at the tackles. They've got Davis and Dornbrook at the guard and Mike Webster at the center as you look at Moon Mullins on the bench. A pulled hamstring for him as well as Lynn Swan. 2nd down 10. And when we called the Steelers injury-riddled, Bob, at the beginning of this program in NFL 79, I don't think we realized how prophetic it was going to be.
Well, we didn't realize it was going to increase from 9 to 11 players now that they have out.
Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is WIC-TV, your new spirit station in Pittsburgh.
Sam Nover, Bob Trumpy, Franco Harris, all back in Pittsburgh. Welcome if you've just joined us. Baltimore leading the Steelers in somewhat of a shock. 10-7. Franco has not played a moment, probably will not. He is still suffering from an ankle injury. 3rd down and 9 for Bradshaw, throwing from his end zone. He's got Cunningham at the 25 to the 30 and out of bounds. Very, very big play for Pittsburgh.
They always seem to be able to do it, Sam, with all we talk about the injuries and how everybody is not playing and all the front line players are sitting on the bench, and then Terry Bradshaw comes up with a play like that. Bennie Cunningham, who had problems with his knee last year, coming back with Randy Grossman, a great combination at tight end. I've said before that Bennie Cunningham is at times bionic. He's like bringing down a Mack truck.
Well, he had his best game of the year last week. 5 catches, 72 yards, and a big touchdown. Look at Brad's stats on the day, having a very fine afternoon, but he traded them all for a victory, and right now he hasn't got one. Sidney Thornton stopped right in his tracks, fumbled the ball after the whistle, I believe. Herb Orvis, number 88. Freddie Cook are the men who combined on the stop, and Orvis is just a man possessed here in Baltimore. He was a #1 draft choice of Detroit, played a number of years there, I believe 7, but has really come on strong here in Baltimore.
Had a bad back last year, but has certainly played well this year, and I do think, whoa, goodness gracious, San Diego scored 20-7 New England. I do think that Baltimore is smelling the blood a little bit. With all these guys out for Pittsburgh, they think they got a chance, and all they need is a little fuel for the fire.
Clock continues to run. 3 minutes exactly to go, 2nd quarter. Very fast first half. Certainly too fast as far as Pittsburgh is concerned. They trail 10-7. Inside handoff to Thornton. 35-40. And a first down, I believe, as he reaches the 44-yard line. And the Thundering Bull, when he gets up ahead of steam, can really hurt somebody out there.
And he got hit pretty hard. I think he's going to take a blow here for a minute.
Nettles is a man who made the stop on him. You're right, Bob. He may have got the worst of that contact. Nettles from the side. And he fell over his own teammate, Larry Brown, but it is a Pittsburgh first down. Thornton takes a rest. Greg Hawthorne, the Steelers' #1 draft choice from Baylor, on for the first time.
I've never seen a game involving these two teams or any two teams where so many injuries have taken place in the first half of the game. They got to really regroup at halftime. Pittsburgh does.
We may not get this play off. We've got 3 seconds to the 2-minute warning. This will do it. Nope, did not get it. So we have reached the 2-minute warning here in the first half. Terry Bradshaw will come to the sidelines to talk to Chuck Knoll. Mary Krause will go see Ted Marchibroda. It's 10-7 Baltimore. We'll be right back. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, NFL 79, Mike Adamle, Bryant Gumbel from New York. All the scores and highlights of other games around the National Football League today. And as is so typical about the National Football League, there are shockers every Sunday, and probably they'll be looking at this one from other stadiums around the country, Bob, and saying, look at the surprise in Pittsburgh.
Agreed, but what they won't show on the scoreboard is the number of injuries that the Pittsburgh Steelers have, and Baltimore is going to feed on that, and hopefully they can turn their season around with this win right here.
It's 10-7 Baltimore. 2 minutes to go in the first half. Bradshaw first down at 10 now at his own 44. Throws it. He's got his tight end Cunningham to the 42-yard line of Baltimore.
Great adjustment by Bennie Cunningham.
He spun right out of Lyle Blackwood's reach, caught the ball, and then went for a couple of extra yards.
He was well covered, but he just came back inside that defensive back, and Bradshaw read the spin, threw it low so that nobody could intercept it. On Stan White, first down, Pittsburgh. Here we go.
And we're into the 2-minute offense of the Steelers now. Bradshaw now forced out by Mike Barnes. Throws it back against the grain to Cunningham, and he would have had 6 points, but he couldn't hold it. Cunningham was all alone.
Great play by Terry Bradshaw on the scramble. I don't think Cunningham expected him to throw him the ball. That was an easy catch. That should have been at least a 25-yard game, maybe a touchdown. There you see him flushed out of the... That's the play before to Bennie Cunningham.
Right, it was. Bradshaw threw back against the grain, and he found a man. He scrambles as well as anybody and throws while running as well as anybody.
We got some baseball scores. Montreal leads Philadelphia 1-0 in the first inning. No score Cincinnati, Houston. No score Pittsburgh, Chicago.
And the Expos still lead the Pirates by a half game in the East. What is it, a game and a half in the West, isn't it? Cincinnati over Houston.
No, a half a game. They won again last night. Houston did.
What great races. Hawthorne on the draw, trying to get outside. They string it out and put him down. Flag is down, maybe a face mask. And that will be a great break for Pittsburgh, because Sanders Shiver and Bruce Laird had the play strung out very nicely. Conversation between Laird and the Steeler bench, namely Dick Hoke, the offensive backfield coach.
Well, somebody should tell Mr. Hawthorne, the rookie from Baylor, that you don't make money in professional football. Face mask, Baltimore, automatic first down. You don't make money in professional football running east and west. You've got to run from goal line to goal line. This is all very nice, but there's only 1 minute and 16 seconds left. Don't mess around there. Don't struggle for inches. Save seconds inside the 2-minute warning of the first half.
I don't know what Laird was complaining about. He appeared to be as guilty as anybody could. Look at that. Caught in the act. Again, we apologize. The referee's microphone is not working, has not worked, and probably will not work.
Very well put. Very well put.
At the 39 of Baltimore, Pittsburgh now with a first down again. The clock is important. 1:16 to go in the half. 10-7 Baltimore. Steelers would love to come away with 6. Certainly don't want to jeopardize the chance at 3. The screen out here for Blyer. And he falls down at the 42-yard line. But if he hadn't fallen down, he probably would have been knocked down, because it was diagnosed very nicely by Larry Brazil and the first-year man from Grambling, Greg Field, 79.
I'm surprised that Bradshaw could find Rocky Blyer in amongst all those Baltimore Colts.
53 seconds. I take it back. 53 to go in the half. Second down. Bradshaw
Smith
all day to throw it. Throws it down there, and it's caught by Stallworth. What a great diving catch by John Stallworth at the 15-yard line.
One of the problems with Lynn Swann being out now, the completion to Stallworth, but Smith was open for a touchdown over the middle. They may come back with a play. This is a fine catch by Stallworth. I said probably right now Pittsburgh's most consistent receiver, and he gets out of bounds to stop the clock. First and 10 Pittsburgh at the Baltimore 16-yard line.
44 seconds to go in the first half. And the Steeler crowd of 50,000 comes alive at Three Rivers. Blyer, number 20, and Thornton, 38, the setbacks behind Terry Bradshaw, who's had a great first half. Rolling right. Throws it down here, and it's just missed. Off the fingertips of Jimmy Smith, and Bradshaw was orchestrating his receivers' movements from the backfield.
And he is also asking for trouble throwing back against the grain like that. knowing the kind of game he had last year in the Super Bowl, knowing the talent of Terry Bradshaw, most coaches will tell the quarterback, don't throw back against the grain. If it's intercepted, it's 6 points, and you don't want that now with 37 seconds to go, trailing by 3 points to Baltimore.
So the clock stops again on the incompletion. 37 seconds left in the half. Bradshaw has already hit Stallworth with 1 touchdown pass of 47 yards, accounting for the only 7 points of the half. Would you believe with those stats the Steelers are trailing 10-7? The draw to Thornton. Nothing. And I do mean nothing. 15-yard line. He might have inched his way to the 14. The clock continues to roll. And the Steelers use one of their 3 timeouts. And Bradshaw will talk it over with Chuck Noll. So we'll come back with the Steelers' 3rd down play, trailing by 3 after this.
You've come to fly before the wind, harnessed to a wildcat, suspended above the waves like the man on the flying trapeze, straining to get every ounce out of her, and moving so fast the mast begins to sing, leaving the rest of the world behind. So you go for it, making the most of now. From the life you live to the beer you drink. And since 1849, the beer that makes the most out of life is Schlitz. That's why every day, millions of times a day, America reaches for a Schlitz.
When you're making it beer, make it this one here. Schlitz makes it great.
Go for it.
Sam Nover, Bob Trumpy back in Pittsburgh. 27 ticks remain in the half, and Bradshaw was very animated in his conversation with Chuck Noll.
I don't think his receivers are doing what he wants them to do. He went over to the sidelines saying, well, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. What else you want to do? I wouldn't be surprised here to see a funny play down here, try to get it in the end zone.
3rd down and 8, Pittsburgh. Lynn Swan is not playing because of a hamstring injury. Smith and Stallworth, the receivers. Throws it out here to Blighter. 15-10, out of bounds at the 8. He is shy of a first down at about the 8-yard line. The clock inserted tells the story. It is 4th down, I would imagine about a yard, Bob Trumpy.
What do you do? What do you do? Do you go for it with 21 seconds left, or do you go for the sure 3 points? Chuck Noll is mulling it over in his mind. Here comes Matt Barr for 3 points, and the Pittsburgh fans don't like it.
So Craig Colquitt will spot it for Matt Barr at the 15-yard line. It'll be a 25-yard attempt. Barr 3 for 7 on the year. The placement, the kick is up, it is good. So Chuck Noll has made the right decision, at least at this point. He has settled for a 10-10 tie, seemingly at the half, with but 18 seconds to play, as Matt Barr makes good on a 25-yard field goal attempt. The scoring drive, 4 minutes, 50 seconds of elapsed time. It took him 13 plays. Incidentally, tonight on NBC, great family entertainment for you. It begins with Disney's Wonderful World, The Love Bug. Dean Jones stars as a race driver who hits a winning streak after acquiring a car with a personality of its own. That's The Love Bug. And then following The Love Bug, it's Clint Eastwood starring in The Outlaw Josie Wales. All of this tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern on the NBC television network. Well, they didn't know whether to call them the Barbells or the Bar Hops or the Bar whatchamacallits, and I guess they settled on the Bars Bears.
From Penn State. 6th round draft choice. He unseated Roy Jarrella, who was Pittsburgh's leading scorer for the last few years.
Here's his boot deep to Nesby Glasgow at the goal line. That is probably the deepest kickoff that he's had this year. Glasgow gets it back almost to the 20-yard line. Anthony Anderson, the free agent from Temple, makes the stop. 19 yards on the return. The Colts will have but 11 seconds of offense remaining here. And remember, coming up immediately after our first half, Bryant Gumbel and Mike Adamle from New York will have scores and highlights of all the games around the NFL today.
Especially that 21-0 whitewashing by the Cincinnati Bengals of the Houston Oilers.
That score has changed, my friend, but I will not tell you. I will tease you with that. You stick around at halftime.
Shame on you.
I would imagine Landry will play very conservative here and just get out at the half. How's that for a guess, Trumpy?
Great quarterback and coach you are, Nover.
So Landry leads his team off the field, and they have had one whale of a first half. 13.5-point underdogs. The Baltimore Colts 10-10 with the world champion Steelers. We've ended the first half. The score, Baltimore 10, Pittsburgh 10. We'll be back after this. My favorites, maybe talking it over here at halftime very vociferously, to say the least, but they got problems.
Well, Sam, this is where head coaches earn their keep. Teddy Marshall-Broda's got to get his team together and convince them that they can win this football game. They've gone into 3 games so far this season, ahead at halftime, and lost the games. If they get a chance to run the ball down Pittsburgh's throat, they got a chance to win this football game. On the other side of the coin, in the other locker room, Chuck Noll has got to regroup his troops. With all the injuries that they have, this is where Chuck Noll has got to earn his keep. He's got to get everybody back on the positive wavelengths. He's got to sit down with Bradshaw. Bradshaw was not happy with the way his receivers ran patterns in the first half. They look rather unorganized, which is very unusual for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So both these coaches got a lot to do in this short halftime to get them back together.
It's also interesting to note, too, that while Bradshaw was less than happy with the patterns, perhaps, of his receivers, he still threw for 190 yards. The problem here is that Pittsburgh has not run the football effectively all year. Yes, I know they're 3-0, but they've only netted 25 yards running the football in the first half. That's got to change, Bob.
You're right, and they're without Harris, they're without Mullins, they're without Kolb, they're without Davis. This is a very hurt football team, and it's very difficult to get everybody back with their minds on the football game as opposed to who's out. That's one of the problems with being human. I mean, you think about all the problems that you have, and you can't go out and play your football game. Pittsburgh has really gone away from their game plan. They do look a little disorganized, and Chuck Noll has got to get everybody convinced that if we just take our time, if we just go back to the basic things, we'll win the football game. And there's Terry Bradshaw. A lot rests on his shoulders this half. If they're going to win, he's got to throw the ball to Jim Smith. He's not looked at him in the first half because he's replacing Lynn Swann. Good statistics, they mean nothing. The score is tied 10-10, and his team is hurt.
He has a remarkable ability to bring his team back. He was carried off the field, as you probably know, on a stretcher in St. Louis in the first half of last Sunday's game. Came back to lead his team from a 21-7 deficit and on to victory 24-21 at St. Louis. Bradshaw can not only do it physically, he can do it emotionally and spiritually, and I'm sure he will, on his shoulders, rest the comeback of Pittsburgh. They're really not coming back from anything because they're tied 10-10, frankly.
Well, he's the only real offensive leader left on the field. Franco Harris is out, John Kolb is out, Sam Davis, who is the veteran on the offensive line, is out. So it rests squarely on the shoulders of Terry Bradshaw. I don't want to put that onus on him because if the Pittsburgh Steelers lose, it's not necessarily his fault. But he must rise to the occasion in the second half in order for the Steelers to beat the Baltimore Colts.
Well, Ted Marchibroda, on the other hand, has not got the leadership of Burt Jones, his outstanding quarterback. And Jones, who has yet to see any action after the first half of the opener at Kansas City, continues to sit the sidelines. So far, they haven't missed him because Greg Landry has been an outstanding football player, particularly here in the first half. Two teams going on the field now for the second half kickoff. To Nesby Glasgow, number 25 of the Baltimore Colts, as Baltimore will receive to start the second half of play. 10-10. And we're going to have a slight delay here before Barr puts his foot into it. Matt was 1 for 2 in field goal attempts in the first half. He missed one of 42 yards, but he made the big one just before the end of the first half to tie the game.
Sam, if you're from Baltimore, you want the Baltimore Colts right now in his first series of the second half to establish themselves as back in the ball game. If they can establish some offense, they've got the Pittsburgh Steelers in trouble, I think personally, because Pittsburgh is hurt so badly. And a lot of people overlook the injuries to players, but when they happen in a game, it takes away the concentration of the rest of the players. A lot of players for Pittsburgh are going to have to play very well in order to win this football game.
So Matt Barr anxiously awaiting the whistle that'll start the second half of play. It's a 10-10 football game. And as Bob Trumpy so succinctly put it, Baltimore is there where they can taste the victory. And the biggest upset of the year, surely, in the National Football League if they could pull it off. And they will be motivated, to say the least, as Barr kicks this one out of bounds and will be penalized 5 yards and have to go back to the 30-yard line and do it again.
And if they do it,
out of bounds, 5-yard penalty, free kick.
Well, that's the best news I've heard in the whole half. We finally got the referee's mic to work.
Yes, he does have a voice. I don't have to lip sync anymore.
Not anymore.
The Colts all week in Baltimore have been talking about turning their season around with this football game, which, if they continue to play the way they're playing and stop Pittsburgh, hold them to only 24 yards rushing in the second half, they got a good chance to win.
So here we go with the second kick of Matt Barr from the 30-yard line. Barr's fort has not been long kickoffs this year, so he's in trouble already. Kicks this one to about the 15. Glasgow at the 20, 25, 30. 35 and still on his feet. Fumbles the ball. It's still loose.
Baltimore's got it.
I believe they do. And they gained an extra 5 yards on the fumble. Look at that field position for Greg Landry up around the 44-yard line. See the man who's recovered the fumble. If we can uncover him. Steve Zabel, number 58, the veteran from Oklahoma, picked up from the New England Patriots.
Once again, Nesby, Glasgow coming up through the wall, as it's called. Well, I guess we're not going to get the replay. But Baltimore's got the ball, as Sam said, in good field position.
So Greg Landry will go to work in a 10-10 game. First play from scrimmage here in the third quarter, and the give is 2. Roosevelt leaks. He goes nowhere. May have lost a yard. Beasley getting very tough, number 65. J.T. Thomas supporting the run from his left cornerback spot, and they lose a yard. It'll be second down 11.
Well, we talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers defense being hurt, but last week against St. Louis, the defense held St. Louis to only 2 first downs in the second half, 37 total yards in the second half, and that is the earmark of a Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
And when Pittsburgh goes on offense in this game, you will not see Lynn Swann or Jerry Mullins. The rest of the day, they are done with hamstring injuries. So the injured core, the beleaguered core of Pittsburgh grows. Washington sweeps, turns it up at the 44, got maybe a yard or 2. Mel Blount, 47, is a man who made the stop, on the Steeler defense now starting to play like it has for the past 7 or 8 years under Chuck Noll. Lambert and Dwayne Woodruff have come on. Don McCauley is the lone setback for Baltimore on 3rd down and 9. Good cadence by Landry. He got the offside. Throws it down here to Reese McCall, and he couldn't hold on. The big tight end, number 86, second-year man from Auburn, number 1 draft choice. Landry hit him right in the hands, but he couldn't hold it. However, I think the penalty is against Pittsburgh.
Yes, and that's the tag against Reese McCall, in all honesty. Illegal procedure, Baltimore.
Well, that'll teach me. Oh, you just never know, do you?
You have a striped shirt on today, too, Sam. Anyway, Reese McCall has dropped too many passes. And by the estimation of some of the Baltimore Colt assistant coaches, he should catch more than he does.
And Landry is not happy with that particular call. He has walked back onto the field. Look at him, like in disbelief. And Perlis, the Steelers' assistant head coach, is irate on the sideline. I'm wondering whether or not Pittsburgh elected to take that penalty and shouldn't have, because it would have brought about a 4th down.
Here we go. We lost his microphone again. But Perlis wanted him to turn the penalty down. I think Pittsburgh accepted the penalty.
I think you're exactly right, and that's why Perlis was so mad. It would have brought around 4th down.
I have an illegal motion. It is member of the quarterback. Declined. 4th down.
Let me say, too, that while we have our problems sometimes, the microphone does not belong to NBC. That is property of the National Football League, so we can escape that problem as ours.
Yes.
I hope you heard the explanation. A legal procedure declined by Pittsburgh. 4th down. Bucky Dilts will kick it to Jimmy Smith. Going for his 62nd punt without a fair catch. Smith will let this one bounce, and he goes out of bounds inside the 20 at about the 15-yard line. So Bradshaw and company, the injured Steeler offense on the field. 40-yard punt by Dilts, no return. We'll return to Three Rivers Stadium at a 10-10 game right after this.
We've got some baseball scores for you, for your Pittsburgh fans. They lead Chicago 1-0 in the first. Montreal leads Philadelphia 3-0 in the second. And Cincinnati is broken on top of the Astros in the Astrodome 1-0 in the second inning.
Here it's 10-10 Pittsburgh and Baltimore. 16-yard line is the line of scrimmage. Bradshaw with Thornton 38 and Blyer 20 as setbacks. And he gives it to Sidney Thornton, finds a nice hole, still on his feet, running over people to the 26-yard line. before Freddie Cook and Bruce Laird made the stop. But that will be very close to a Steeler first down up around the 26.
Well, here's Barry Krause again, the All-American linebacker, and Sam Davis, who was not supposed to play, did an excellent job on Mr. Krause, and that's part of the experience of becoming an NFL linebacker. You got guys like Sam Davis blocking you. A fold block. Ooh. Center on tackle, guard on the middle linebacker, and Thornton's up through there. All they're looking for is a crack. And Thunder Thornton will carry it for 10 yards.
He's not Thunder Thornton, he is the Thundering Bull.
Oh, the Thundering Bull.
They have brought the chains in from the far side of the field to measure whether or not it is
close.
Close. The Oakland A's and decided he'd rather play for the Rooneys than Mr. Finley, I guess.
Smart choice.
Yes, indeed.
Smart choice.
And a great young man. Was injured reserve all of last year and has worked like the Dickens. He, by the way, is the only native Pittsburgher on this ball club from the North Hills. Bradshaw with all day. Throws it down here and high in the air for it was Smith. But Bradshaw threw it into a crowd. It was his first bad pass of the day, I really believe.
Well put, Sam. That's unlike Terry Bradshaw. He appears to me to be a little bit desperate. Not too happy with the patterns the receivers were running. Once again, Jim Smith and John Stallworth were standing right next to each other. And that's not the way you draw the plays up.
And again, he continues to work on the rookie Brazil. Here it is again.
Good play action. Nobody's open, and yet he still throws it in there, and that's unlike Terry Bradshaw. There you see Smith, Thornton, and Stallworth, and that's not the way they draw them up, folks. That makes it easy for the defense.
So it's 3rd down and 1. 2 tight ends. Grossman 84, Cunningham 89. And the second back through. Oh. Nothing. Thornton got whacked and knocked back 3 yards.
Reject.
Who hit him? It may have been Sanders Shiver, number 54, the linebacker. And if so, it's the hit of the football game. He met the Thundering Bull head on and knocked him back 3 yards.
The Thundering Bull? Wait a minute. That was a heck of a play. An underneath handoff to Thornton. A little misdirection, and bam, hello, reject.
And the pulling guard, Sam Davis, just got beat by Shiver. That's all. It was plain and simple. 4th down. Colquitt will kick it deep. Oh, and he line drives this one. Glasgow back at his 30-yard line. 35-40. A flag is down. And it may be a clip here against Baltimore, way back at the 30-yard line.
Well called. And
it'll nullify a fairly nice return by Nesby Glasgow of 15 yards on a 45-yard punt by Colquitt. I saw the clip, Trumpy, but I didn't catch the number.
I didn't either, but the guy just kind of outran him from Pittsburgh, and the Baltimore coverage man had to just shove him a little bit in the back. It wasn't a flagrant violation, nevertheless a clip. Here's the call.
Infield, downfield.
What? Oh.
Well,
Receivers, the play is nullified.
What has happened here is we're right on the clipping call against Baltimore. What we did not see was an illegal receiver downfield, a man apparently leaving the line of scrimmage a wee bit early, and so the whole play is null and void. They'll bring it back and do it again, offsetting penalties.
Apologize for that. We did not see the flag. That's our job.
Ted Marchibroda on the side, and Landry and Shula have received over the years. I think ostensibly because he doesn't really want it, Bob. He's just a low-key coach, but among the 3 greatest in the history of this game.
Agreed with you.
Undeniable. Glasgow back at the 37. Rattles the ball to Laird. 40-45, and they whistled it dead. Well, they whistled the play dead on Glasgow, but he had the right idea. He was in the grasp of Zach Valentine, and they have whistled it down.
Almost, though, just the way we used to play it out in the sandlot. Am I right? Good reception. Had a good wall set up there, but Pittsburgh on good coverage. Ran into his own man. Then the lateral to Lyle Blackwood. No use.
41-yard punt will return to Pittsburgh in just a moment. Here's some updates on scores around the league. The former Cincinnati Bengal Bob Trumpy will not be happy to hear this, but Houston has scored 17 unanswered points. They now trail Cincinnati 24-17. First down at 10, Baltimore. They have it at their own 37. Landry play action on first down. They got him back there, and down he goes. Gary Dunn, 67.
Amazing.
And there was a great rush from all 4 of the down linemen. I think probably the best pass rush of the day for Pittsburgh.
That's absolutely amazing, Sam. As injured as they are, they still play together, and that's the best thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers team. Look at Joe Green. Everybody says he's over the hill. He's still leading the pack in there.
Here's another score. Steve Bartkowski has gone over from 1 yard out. Atlanta has come back to tie the Detroit Lions at 10-10. Don McCauley in the backfield now for Baltimore. 2nd down, 17. And the Steeler crowd here, which has been accustomed for the last 7 or 8 years to outstanding defense, now employing their charges on. Landry to throw it. Over the middle, he's got McCauley back to the original line of scrimmage, and he goes down under a heap of 4, spearheaded by Dirt Winston, the middle linebacker. And so they're back to the original line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd down and about 10 now for Baltimore.
Tom Beasley was in on the tackle, too. Defensive tackle. What's he doing way back there? That just shows you the kind of team defense that Pittsburgh plays. 3rd down and about 9 yards to go, and this one it gets tough against Pittsburgh.
And McCauley went off holding his arm. He may have gotten hurt. This has really become the injury bowl, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
Lambert and Dwayne Woodruff come into the lineup. Robin Cole, Dirt Winston are out. The nickel defense by Pittsburgh on 3rd down and 10. 10-10 football game, 10:09 to go, 3rd quarter.
Zone coverage here, total zone coverage here. Going to be tough to get the ball to somebody.
Landry has a man wide open. It's Reese McCall at the 45 of Pittsburgh and a 1st down, and Landry threaded the proverbial needle with that one.
Fine pass. Good pattern by Reese McCall. I said earlier he had trouble catching the ball, but that was right between the 8 and the 6. Landry took no chances, and the only place to throw it against Pittsburgh when they've got that total zone back there is underneath the defensive backs and on top of the linebackers. Here's J.T. Thomas. He's got deep outside. McCall just goes down and turns around. Fine reception. 1st down, Baltimore.
And just another wonderful 3rd down conversion for Landry, who's really having a game for himself today. At the 45 of Pittsburgh, a quick out pattern. He's got Dowdy at the far side at the 40-yard line. That's good for 5 yards and a win on 1st down. I think offensive coaches usually figure, Bob, that if you can gain 4 or more yards on 1st down, you have won that down.
Exactly. You can do about anything 2nd and 5 that you want in the playbook. The trick plays, the good plays, that's the toughest spot for the defense to defense, because there's no way to stop everything that you can possibly do 2nd down and 5.
We have now been served notice that Don McCauley's injury is a shoulder. If he cannot play, the 2 backs in there now are the only 2 that Baltimore's got. Washington gets the football. Inside the 40 to the 38, and down he goes. Washington and Roosevelt Leaks are the only healthy backs. McCauley is hurt. Hardeman is hurt. Ben Gary is hurt. Ron Lee's on the injured reserve list. They are in trouble also.
And Don McCauley is also the backup quarterback. I don't think Burt Jones can play. If Greg Landry gets hurt, Ted Marchibroda may be on the field.
He was a great one at the University of Detroit. I grew up in the shadow of that stadium and remember watching him as a kid. 3rd down and 3 now. Tried the quick out to his back. Roosevelt Leaks, and there's the greatest linebacker that ever played the game, Jack Ham.
And Sam, something that's noteworthy, that's the first time we've called Jack Ham's number all day long.
Now tell me why. Is it because they've avoided him, or has he not had a good football game?
No, I do not think he has had a good football game. I don't think it has anything to do with Baltimore avoiding him. I just simply do not think he's had a good football game. Landry threw it to Roosevelt Leaks. The man open was Roger Carr, who beat Mel Blount on the other side, but a fine tackle by Jack Ham. He'll do that 9 times out of 10.
So it's 4th down and 3, and Bucky Dilts will try to hem the Steelers up deep in their own zone. He put one out at the 8-yard line earlier and has punted very well since coming here from Denver. I say here, I mean, of course, to Baltimore. Good snap. Jim Smith is back, and he arches a high one right down the sideline. And out of bounds it goes, and let's see where they step it off. He has put another one out inside the 10. Pretty good afternoon for Bucky Dilts. They spotted on the 7-yard line, 30 yards, no return. Pittsburgh goes to work on offense in a 10-10 ball game. 7-yard line. He's got Blyer and Thornton as the setbacks. Look at Stan White change the defense right at the line of scrimmage. He calls all the defensive signals. Bradshaw rolling out, throws it down here, intended for Blyer. And the coverage was by Sanders Shiver, 54, and I think Bradshaw could have run for 10 or 15 on that one.
And I do think Sanders Shiver is probably playing the best game he's played all year so far. Those statistics are misleading. They are between the 30s. Pittsburgh has not had the ball on the other side of the 50 since the first quarter.
Excellent point, Bob. Excellent point. Second down and 10. Bradshaw throwing from his own end zone. It's a 10-10 football game. The Baltimore Colts know they are there. This one can be had for the second effort. They came into it 13.5-point underdogs. However, as we've told you repeatedly, the Steelers are playing without John Franco Harris. Good handoff the flyer to the 10-yard line. The ball came free after the whistle. They're playing without Lynn Swan, Jerry Mullins, etc., etc., etc.
That's just on offense.
Here's a score out of the NFC. Minnesota on a Robert Miller 3-yard run has finally tied Green Bay at 14-all. 5:27 to go third quarter. And the Vikings were favored there by a point or two. That's a backyard brawl, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Always.
Here's a big play for Bradshaw. Third down and 6 at his 11-yard line. Forced out of the pocket. They got him back there, and he throws it down for Smith. Intercepted by Baltimore. Intended for Stallworth and intercepted by Lyle Blackwood. And Baltimore has forced a turnover.
Let's give credit to Fred Cook, who was the one in on the pass rush that made. Here's Jim Smith. Good bump by Glasgow. Now he's got to let him go. He's covered all the way down. Meantime, back upfield, Fred Cook has got Terry Bradshaw in the end zone, and he throws it in desperation. Lyle Blackwood on the interception.
So Baltimore attempting to break the tie. You might have seen Don McCauley exercising that shoulder. He seems to be a little better.
I would go to Roger Carr deep right here.
At the Pittsburgh 34-yard line. The biggest break of the day thus far. Washington gets one or two into the pile. And Greg Landry electing not to take the advice from the broadcast booth of Bob Trumpy.
Well, I do not understand that call. They got to get on Pittsburgh right now. And to do that, you go to your best man. Here's Joe Washington, who doubles as a high jumper in the offseason, I suppose.
He got up about 6 feet, didn't he?
Yeah, his only problem, he'll do anything for you on the football field. His only problem is I don't think he's as durable as Baltimore would like him to be. He's more of a spot player. Go deep to Roger Carr, my friend. I hope he can hear me.
Second down and 7. Both receivers are split left. You see them there. Doughty's in the slot. Carr is a 9-5 burner. They changed the audible at the line of scrimmage. And too much time. Landry wanted to go to Reese McCall. And McCall couldn't even hold it when nobody was playing against him.
That's why he's got to go to Roger Carr. Get the ball down the field.
Glad to see McCauley back. That shoulder injury obviously not serious. Everybody is out on the patterns. Throws it to McCauley at the 20-yard line. And a great catch by Don McCauley, who the Baltimore Colts quarterback Burt Jones likes to refer to as the hidden hero, Mr. Clutch.
A #1 draft choice in 1971 out of North Carolina, and he is their most consistent football player. He'll give you 130%. They've cut him. They've tried to cut him about 4 or 5 times. He just keeps coming back to the Baltimore Colts and making the ball club. He can do anything that anybody else can on the football field.
So it's a first down at the 16-yard line of Pittsburgh, and Baltimore threatening to break the 10-10 tie.
Blitz.
Landry again. They're coming. Throws it out here for McCall, and he was held up by Donnie Shell. And excellent coverage by the Steelers' strong safety, Donnie Shell.
Single coverage, too.
Robin Cole and Jack Ham both coming on the blitz. And those of you watching in Detroit will not be happy to learn this, but Tim Mazzetti has made good on a 26-yard field goal. Atlanta, with 8:03 to go third quarter, has come back to wrest the lead away from Detroit.
Wrest the lead away from Detroit?
Well, I'm trying to be fancy because I assume my mother and father are watching.
Well, say hello to them, Sam.
I want them to know that I did learn something in college. Not much, but big play. Second down and 10. Landry wants to keep himself in field position, but he'd like the 6.
Oh.
And Leaks goes down at the 15-yard line.
You know what? I want to tell you something. I may be stepping on somebody's foot, but I'll say it anyway. Down in this situation, I'm sure Baltimore knows that Pittsburgh is going to go to the double rotation zone. That leaves Reese McCall on a linebacker. That should be the man he goes to. I do not believe that Greg Landry has the confidence in Reese McCall to catch the football in the end zone. Therefore, they got to run it.
Well, I don't agree with either of those observations. I think they're going to go to McCauley. McCauley has an unbelievable ratio of third down conversions for this ball club, too. Something like 43%. Lambert and Woodruff are both in there on third down and 9. Landry forced out of the pocket. On the run. Inside the 10, and he dives to the 7. He will be very close to a Baltimore first down.
Not enough.
Banaszak finally knocked him out. While they spot the football, let's pause 5 seconds for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is WIC-TV, your new spirit station in Pittsburgh.
Baltimore, and Steve Mickemeyer will attempt to put the Colts on top 13-10.
Cross your fingers, Baltimore.
It's a kick of 25 yards. It's in that direction. It is good. I believe it is. And so the Colts on a Steve Mickemeyer 25-yarder have broken the tie. They now lead Pittsburgh 13-10. Will return to Three River Stadium after this. Flyers kickoff after the field goal of 25 yards. Franco has not seen the light of day today.
And he's got to button his chin strap and get in there. He's got to establish some semblance of order in the Pittsburgh offense. They got to get him in the ball game.
You think he's coming in, huh?
I think so. Bad ankle and all.
Larry Anderson to the 20-25, breaks a tackle, spins out of the grass. It's Anthony Anderson, I beg your pardon, number 33. Anthony Anderson takes the ball back to the 27-yard line. And let's see whether or not 32 comes on the field. Not in this series. He is still on the sidelines, but Bob Trumpy is convinced he must play today.
Yes, I am. With a very hurt offensive line, they got to have somebody back there that can give the ball to 15 or 20 times in the next quarter plus 3 minutes. Franco Harris is that man. They're taking a chance, but they might lose if they don't.
Anthony Anderson takes it back to the 27, and Bradshaw was set up shop at that point. Thornton to the 30. Pushing people forward to the 34-yard line. Fred Cook, 72, is the man who made the stop, and a marker is down again. This has not only been an injury-marred football game, it has been a penalty-marred football game, and it's one in which Baltimore leads 13-10 at the moment.
Holding Pittsburgh. One of the problems with being a professional football player, Sam, having played for 10 years, is that when you're hurt and you're a frontline player, you feel like with a score of 13-10 and you're on the short side of it, that you're letting down your teammates. And Franco Harris is one of the real true competitors of the NFL. I know he wants to get in there. He's inching closer and closer and closer to the sideline, and I think his competitive instinct will get him in the ball game.
Holding number 63, offense.
That's Tom Dornbrook, the free agent out of Kentucky, who's played a whale of a football game. He didn't expect to see the light of day today either. But with all the injuries that have cropped up, and Mullins went out in the first half, Dornbrook has been on and will be for the duration. Flyer getting to about the 18-yard line in a 1st and 20 situation. One thing about the Steelers, they have been here time and time again, Bob. You know it as well as I do.
Yes, I do.
They will not leave the game plan. They will not panic. They'll go down to the 2-minute mark in the 4th quarter, trailing by 10 points, and will not panic. This club has been around and has had too much success to do that.
It's a veteran ball club. They scored 17 points last week against St. Louis to win. Oh, no, and a tie score in Cincinnati, Houston. 24.
What a comeback. Dan Pastorini, 22 yards to Rich Castor. They have come back from 24-0 to tie the Bengals. Bradshaw better watch the pressure behind him. Throws it out here, and it's almost caught. Interference.
Good call. Good call. Excellent call.
Bruce Laird on the back of John Stallworth, and the Steelers will go from the 40-yard line, a first down.
That was a good call by the official. Unfortunately, Bruce Laird, who's about 5'11", going against John Stallworth, who is about 6'3", and there's not much that Bruce Laird can do. Maybe this is the way that Pittsburgh's going to win the game. Pass interference. That's a good call.
What we don't call to your attention every series is the fact that the Baltimore Colts are shuttling Herb Orvis and Ron Fernandez in tandem. Joe Ehrman and Greg Fields are in tandem in that front four. At the moment, Fields and Ehrman are on the sidelines. First down, Pittsburgh at their own 40-yard line, trailing 13-10 with 2:50 to go, 3rd quarter. Bradshaw to put it up. Oh, they got him back there at the 30. Number 73, Ron Fernandez from Eastern Michigan University, and Bradshaw is still down.
He got hit right between the shoulder blades.
Oh, me, oh, my.
Well, he came back last week after being carried off on a stretcher.
Last week's injury was a bruised ankle, and Terry has said that it was as painful for the first couple of minutes as any injury he has ever suffered. Bradshaw seems to have a propensity for getting very painful injuries that put him out for a short period of time, but his recuperative powers are amazing, Bob.
They border on the miraculous.
He is still down, being attended to by the training corps, Ralph Berlin and Bob Miley. The doctors are out to see him. And here it is again. Fernandez got a dead beat on him.
Yes, he did. He went right by the offensive tackle of Pittsburgh and hit him right between the shoulder blades. And I'm telling you, that is not fun.
The gentleman you're looking at is Mike Kruzik, youngster out of Boston College in his 4th year. Bradshaw coming off under his own power, and that is good news. Don't forget, next Sunday, NFL 79 begins it all at 12:30. Bryant Gumbel, Mike Adamle. Our 12:30 games, Cleveland will be at Houston, Pittsburgh at Philadelphia, Miami at the Jets. Bob Trumpy and I will be in the Big Apple at 1:30, Buffalo at Baltimore, then at 3:30, Denver, Oakland, Cincinnati, Dallas, Kansas City, Seattle.
Sam, that was on Ted Peterson, a young man from Eastern Illinois, only 3 years experience against Ron Fernandez. And the worst thing that an offensive lineman can do is give a defensive lineman a free shot at a quarterback.
Mike Kruzik, at least for the time being, is in there. He was 3 out of 4 in St. Louis the short time he replaced Bradshaw last Sunday. Gets out of
He's open, deep, Thornton.
Doesn't see him, goes down to the 25. You are absolutely right, Bob. Sidney was all alone, and Kruzik just did not see him.
Didn't have time to get it down there, but somebody missed an assignment with Sidney Thornton. He was 15 yards behind Lyle Blackwood.
How about this? Joe Ferguson to Jerry Butler, 75 yards. Then Joe Ferguson to Jerry Butler, 74 yards. Buffalo on top of the Jets, 26-24.
He was their first-round draft choice, too.
Out of Clemson.
I'm sure that Terry Bradshaw, being the competitor he is, will be back for the Steelers, and that brings it even better a possibility for Franco Harris to come on the field.
So it's 3rd down and a quarter of a mile here for Kruzik.
At least.
The end of the sticks are up at the 50-yard line. Trying to get a big first down. Heaves it down here.
Oh.
Intercepted by Nettles. 30, 25, and down he goes. Doug Nettles out of Vanderbilt with the biggest interception of the day.
We got an upset in the making. Kruzik trying to come in for Bradshaw and get back that first down.
22 yards on the return by Nettles, and they again set up shop in excellent field position at the 25, Bob.
Well, this is unfortunate. You got a guy, Kruzik, who is not, no way he can know when Terry Bradshaw is going to get hurt. I know he's not warmed up. Almost a good reception. But he's standing right there to pick it off, and Baltimore's got good field position. And will they run it again, or will they try to get it in the end zone?
From the 26-yard line, Greg Landry already leading 13-10 with 1:40 to go, 3rd quarter. The Colts on the threshold of something very, very big in Pittsburgh on this Sunday afternoon. Throws it to Dowdy, and no. I believe they say he trapped it.
That was close.
Tim Mazzetti has kicked another field goal at the Silver Dome in Pontiac, Michigan. Atlanta now leads the Lions 16-10. That tells a very big story.
He's not doing too bad for a bartender, is he?
That's the score we talked about.
Here we go.
Of course, following our bowl game, NFL Report will have scores and highlights from all around the National Football League today. 2nd down for Landry. Pump fake. Now rolling out. Throws it down here, and he threw it short of his intended receiver, Roosevelt Leaks, who fell down. And a marker is down. It may be roughing the passer against Pittsburgh.
It was. It was. The NFL is protecting the quarterbacks this year. You can't take a shot at their head, and I think that's exactly what happened. Update on the baseball scores. Pittsburgh 6, the Cubbies nothing in the 2nd. Montreal leads Philadelphia 4-0 in the 5th. The score is tied in the Astrodome in the 3rd inning. 1-1 Cincinnati and Houston, and the penalty is against Pittsburgh for roughing the passer.
Oh, that's a big one.
That hurts. That hurts Pittsburgh's chances.
Referee Gordon McCarter walking off the personal foul. It'll go inside the 15-yard line, and they will spot it to be exact at the 12.5. It'll be a 1st down Baltimore. And here's the referee, if his mic is working, we hope.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 65 defense, 1st down.
Tom Beasley gets the unenviable distinction of having been the culprit on that call. First down, Baltimore. Landry is really in business here. 1:30 to go, third quarter. Landry throws it over the middle and behind his intended receiver, who is Glenn Dowdy, and J.T. Thomas had the coverage. I think a good pass by Landry might have nailed him.
Yes. Landry's a little mad at himself. He threw it behind Dowdy, I suppose underestimating Glenn Dowdy's speed. But I think Dowdy had J.T. Thomas beat for a touchdown, if, as you say, to put it between the numbers.
So it's second down and 10 at the 12.5-yard line. Baltimore leading 13-10. This is a stunned crowd in Pittsburgh.
But this is the way, now they're yelling defense. This is the way Pittsburgh's defense got the tag of the steel curtain.
Dirk Winston, 53, faking the blitz. Oh, good cadence by Landry again. Throws it down here for Reese McCall, but after the whistle. And let's see whether or not the Steeler defensive line was drawn offside. Somehow I feel they were on this occasion, Bob.
Yes. Joe Green, whoops. Jack Ham is clapping his hands. Is it going to be against Greg Landry for voice inflection? Illegal procedure. Baltimore, that's twice they've called it on Greg Landry. The quarterback cannot nod his head, move his shoulder. He can change the inflection in his voice, and that's it.
Well, it wasn't the cadence after all. I was giving it too much credit.
It's the way that he calls it. Yes, it's the cadence. It's the inflection of the cadence.
Well, our on again, off again microphone is off again. The penalties are fairly even today.
Well, what he said was an illegal head nod by the quarterback.
So it's second down and 15 for Baltimore. They spot the ball at the 17-yard line. Roger Carr wide left. Glenn Dowdy, former Michigan star, to the right. Long count by Landry. He'll stay in the pocket. Throws it over the middle. Intercepted by Jack Ham. Football player who can give you a false sense of security. Bob Trumpy remarked a moment ago we hadn't called his number but once all day.
Leads all active linebackers in the NFL with pass interceptions. He's always around the football, and this one is on rosy leaks. He did not continue his pattern. He stopped dead in his tracks. Jack Ham was wide open.
Career interception number 27 for the amazing one from Penn State. Bradshaw back in the lineup. Another miracle recovery by the Steeler 10-year veteran from Louisiana Tech. Flyer to the 12, breaks the tackle to the 14-yard line. Fumbles the ball again after the whistle.
It's down.
Lyle Blackwood is the man who made the stop. Green Bay has gone back on top of Minnesota. Turdell Middleton, 5 yards on the run. 13:28 to go, fourth quarter. It is now the Pack 21, the Vikes 14. Bob and I were there last Sunday, saw them get blown out in the fourth quarter by Miami.
Yes, we did.
But Minnesota played fairly well for 3 quarters. Second down and a short 6. Thornton. 20, 25, 30, could go all the way. Cut from behind to the 10-yard line. The noise is deafening. 76 yards. Sidney Thornton, the thundering bull out of southeast Louisiana, in a foot race with the secondary of Baltimore.
And the Thundering Bull's got some speed. He just ran out of gas. What a play. What's the yardage on that? 79 yards for Sidney Thornton.
I've got 76, but I'm no mathematician.
That's close enough. What a play. They were really in trouble.
Well, that's a quick way to get up over 100 yards rushing, isn't it?
What a play. That's your standard Pittsburgh underneath handoff, weak side sweep for 74 yards.
What a way to end the third quarter. Woo. The score is Baltimore 13, Pittsburgh 10. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
They call Mike Webster the best center in professional football. Watch this block. Number 52 pulling out across the line of scrimmage. and Thornton is gone 75 yards and gets Pittsburgh out of a deep, deep hole.
First down at the 11-yard line. Blyer stood right up at the line of scrimmage, fumbles the ball, and Baltimore's got it.
Holy Toledo.
How is that for a dramatic turn of events? The first play of the fourth quarter, Blyer fumbles, Baltimore recovers after Sidney Thornton lumbers 75 yards, the longest run from scrimmage by a Pittsburgh back since Franco Harris in 72.
Mike Barnes beats Mike Webster on this play, and he's there with the ball the same time Rocky Blyer is. Blyer never had the ball, recovered by somebody from the Colts, and they're back in business. Look at that.
Fourth turnover of the day by the Steelers. So Baltimore at the 7-yard line. What a fabulous turn of events here for Baltimore. Pittsburgh doesn't like it one iota. Joe Washington to the 8-yard line. Robin Cole lost him and then grabbed him back again, but he wasn't going anywhere. Steelers trying to steal the football. Dirt Winston, 53, is on top.
Well, it's up to the Pittsburgh defense to get the ball away from Baltimore in this spot, turn it back over to the offense in good field position if they want to keep control of this football game and have a chance to score and get back in it.
Two more scores. Steve Grogan has just hit Russ Francis. It's 27-14 New England. 14:07 to go, fourth quarter. And Tony Fritsch, a 47-yard field goal. Houston has gone on top of Cincinnati. Here it's 13-10 Baltimore. Early in the fourth quarter. Washington, nothing, maybe a yard. Ham was there to turn it in, and Banaszak and Winston did the job.
Exactly, Sam. We didn't call his number in the first half very much, but Jack Ham stopped that play by himself. Took on the guard, made sure the play couldn't get outside, and waited for the pursuit to stop it. Here comes the 5th defensive back, and Jack Lambert into the lineup. Baltimore's in trouble.
So a third down and 7 now for Landry. He's got a big play situation. He's in very dangerous territory. Marchibroda really nervous, chomping on the gum. They've got Carr wide right and Dowdy to the left. And the sweep by Joe Washington. Cuts it up at the 15 to about the 20-yard line. And he may have enough for a first down. Excellent play selection by Baltimore, and I think they got the first down. Blunt and Lambert made the stop.
And Rosie Leaks led that one around there in grand fashion. Put Blunt on his back. Watch Roosevelt Leaks. He'll go out of the frame, but I'm sure he'll come back in. Joe Washington, Leaks leading. There's the block. And Joe Washington cuts back inside. Lambert on the tackle with his sprained shoulder.
All Leaks had to do was just get in Donnie Shell's way, and that's exactly what he did. So it's a big conversion now for Baltimore. They lead at 13-10, 13 minutes exactly to go in regulation time. From the 20-yard line, Landry to throw it. The screen out there to Washington. 20, 25, dives to maybe the 27-yard line. Stopped from behind by Robin Cole, and while I have a moment, you know, we travel around the league, and there are excellent people in every city we go, Bob Trumpy, as you well know, but there's as good a team of spotters here in Pittsburgh as anywhere. Barney McGinley and Tim Fogarty and our stats man, George Jordan, making sure that you have the right people because we haven't got 40 pairs of eyes.
You're right.
Sam Nover and Bob Trumpy, we're delighted to have you in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Three River Stadium, where the Baltimore Colts are working on the biggest upset of the year. They lead Pittsburgh by 3, early moments, fourth quarter. Leaks for a couple. And I don't believe he got the first down. He had to reach the 30-yard line. And they spot the ball considerably shy of that at about the 28. Banaszak is the man who made the stop. This game's really a character builder, isn't it?
You're right. And considering all the injuries that Pittsburgh has, they are still playing very well on defense. Very well coached team. Big down coming here. Third down and about a yard. I imagine they'll give it to Roosevelt Leaks. Incidentally, I wanted to mention in that screen pass they threw to Joe Washington, that I think is the best way to use Joe instead of out of the backfield. You got to find slippery little ways to get him 10 yards.
So third down and a long 2 now for Greg Landry and company. Second back is McCauley, and he almost got his head into the 30-yard line and got pushed back. But McCauley is a man you have to look for in third down conversions. Detroit has come back against Atlanta. They've got a seesaw affair at the Silverdome. Jeff Comlow and Luther Blue hooking up on a 13-yard touchdown. It's 17-16 Lions, fourth quarter.
And we're going to have a measurement. I'll tell you, Pittsburgh still leads Chicago 6-0 in the third. Montreal leads Philadelphia 5-2 in the 6th.
You are talking baseball, aren't you?
Well, yes, I am.
Otherwise,
yes, I am.
Very low-scoring football games.
Cincinnati leads Houston in the 4th 2-1. Milwaukee leads Minnesota 3-0 in the 3rd. And that means nothing. The Birds are in the playoffs for Baltimore. Flanagan is my choice for Cy Young. Excuse me, Sam.
First down for Baltimore, and that reminds me, too, Bob, that NBC's superb coverage of the regular season will continue.
Not over.
They got the first down. I was wrong. They did not have to reach the 30. They got it to the 29.5. Joe Washington across the 30 to the 31 and knocked back by Robin Cole. At the bottom was Tom Beasley, 65.
And supported well by Donnie Shell. No rhyme intended.
I'm really wrong, and you don't want to embarrass me.
Sounds good to me, Sam.
Second down and 9 now for Baltimore. Leaks leading the way for Washington. Oh, and he got a big hit at the 35-yard line by Dirt Winston, the middle linebacker. This has really become student body right and student body left for Joe Washington, something he was accustomed to at Oklahoma.
Well, they want to eat up as much time on the clock as they possibly can, and unfortunately, Joe Washington just isn't the real strength back that they need carrying the ball. He is slippery, but the pursuit catches up with him. Third down and about 3.5. I would look for the quick out to Dowdy or Carr.
You keep saying that, but he seems to have stood up very well under the pressure and the beating he's taking today.
Very well, very well. We must give compliments to Roger Carr.
McCauley's there. You can always look for him in third down situations. We have a third down and 4 for Baltimore. Nope, Washington this time with McCauley blocking. They string it out. Down he goes.
Nothing. Jack Ham again.
59 was there to make the stop. And Baltimore will have to punt it.
Reese McCall on Jack Ham, and I fought that battle for about 10 years. Ham with outside position, and Ham just strings it out. That's exactly what his job is. And he still makes the tackle. How about that for a linebacker? I don't feel so bad that I never got a chance to really block him if he plays that well.
He does it to everybody. Bucky Dilts at his 20-yard line, kicking to Jim Smith at his 30-yard line. Pittsburgh had the great chance after Sidney Thornton rumbled 75 yards, but on the first play following that, Rocky Bleier fumbled and Baltimore recovered. Now the Colts kicking to Smith. No fair catch, and look at the bounce for Baltimore. They will kill the ball at the 16 of Pittsburgh. Great bounce for Dilts and a great opportunity now for Baltimore to play some defense. 50 yards on the punt, no return. We'll return to Pittsburgh in a moment. Pittsburgh, it looks like we got visitors, Trump.
That looks like the best seat in the house right there.
That balloon is hovering right over the center of the stadium. And there are folks in that balloon. I can see them with the naked eye. From the 15, Sidney Thornton with a big hole. Still on his feet up to the 30-yard line. Fumbles the ball, but after the whistle. That is the third time that a Steeler fumble has followed the whistle. Luckily for the Steelers, who trail here 13-10.
Thornton's hurt.
I think I read a name on that balloon, and if I do, it looks like a local savings and loan bank here in Pittsburgh. Here it is
Sidney
again.
Thornton trying to make up for that 75-yard run, which Pittsburgh turned over right up through the middle. Webster again on Mr. Krause. Thornton breaks to the outside. He's got to be a tired little fella. Hawthorne in there now.
Back live. Bradshaw throws it out here to Greg Hawthorne, the #1 draft choice from Baylor. Breaks the tackle 35, 38-yard line. Larry Brazil had him down low and finally pulled him down after a gain of about 4, maybe 5 yards for Hawthorne. It'll be second down, Pittsburgh trailing 13-10, and the clock becomes a factor. 7:50 to play in regulation time.
But, Sam, you said it earlier in the third quarter, Pittsburgh will not go away from its game plan. They will stay right with it right up to the end. This team does not panic, and that's the best characteristic about them.
Second down and 5. Bradshaw, who was injured earlier in this half, went off the field, appeared to be in a great deal of pain like he was last Sunday in St. Louis. Hawthorne breaks it at midfield, 45. Inside the 45 to the 43-yard line, another Pittsburgh first down. Well, Baltimore now has its back to the proverbial wall because Pittsburgh moving into field goal range.
And once again, that's Pittsburgh's favorite play. Great block on Sanders Shiver. And Hawthorne, the rookie, breaks into the backfield. That's a quick 20 yards.
They got to be going nuts at Rich Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. Joe Ferguson has hit Jerry Butler for the 4th time today on a touchdown pass. It's the Bills 33 and the Jets 24. And they came back, Buffalo, from a 17-6 deficit.
Goodness gracious.
Also, 21-all, Minnesota, Green Bay. Ricky Young has gone in from 7 yards out. That's exactly the same time left in the 4th quarter as we have here. 7:15 to play. A lot of close games all around the National Football League, and Brian and Mike will bring you up to date on the scores on the NFL report after this one. Dwight Harrison has gone out with an injury. Nesby Glasgow replaces him. Bradshaw knows it. Throws the screen to Blyer. At the 40, down he goes. And a pretty good defensive play by the rookie from Alabama, Barry Krause.
Once again, we feature Barry Krause, the middle linebacker of the Baltimore Colts. He's got to know where that ball is. Reads the center. Krause out there on Rocky Blyer for the tackle. Doing a fine job for Baltimore.
Herb Orvis was hurt on the play. He is still down at about the 38-yard line, as you can see, holding his knee.
No, that's his ankle.
As I said, you can see he has an injured ankle. We'll return to Pittsburgh in a 13-10 Baltimore lead after we pause for this.
Once again, the middle linebacker of the Colts on what his job is.
He avoided the block from Corson very well. Now we're back live. And the handoff straight ahead to Blyer, still holding on to the football. Freddie Cook pushed him back as he tried to reach the 35-yard line. But the 6-year veteran from Southern Mississippi, Freddie Cook, who probably is the most consistent defensive lineman that Baltimore's got, has played another good football game today.
Along with Sanders Shiver. Pat him on the back, too. He's had an outstanding football game. Now, they played well. They're playing the world champions. And even though they're hurt, I mean, they're still a very good football team. And the Colts have held their own. 3rd
down and a very long 2 yards for Bradshaw. Stallworth wide left. Smith is slotted with Thornton and Blyer behind Terry, and he goes back to pass. Throws it out here. He's got Blyer wide open. 1st down inside the 30 and out of bounds. Run out by the strong safety, Bruce Laird. But Blyer is probably Pittsburgh's equivalent to Don McCauley.
Exactly. Very good play. They flooded the zone with the receivers over there. Blyer just comes out behind it. There's nobody to cover it. Bradshaw watches the receivers out on the side. When he sees the defensive backs go with the deep receivers, he just flares it out to Rocky Blyer for a 1st down. They're moving. 1st and 10 at the 28 of Baltimore.
Smith goes wide right and Stallworth to the left. The pro set backfield for Bradshaw. 5:53 to go on a turning clock here in the 4th quarter. Pittsburgh down by 3. He throws it back on the screen. Bennie Cunningham gets a block. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. The backs, they use it with the wide receivers, and once in a while they like the tight end screen.
Great call. Half roll left. Nobody's out there with Cunningham. Very few blocks to make to get him in the end zone. Nothing to it. 6 points Pittsburgh. He just outruns the rest of them.
We're back live. Matt Barr will attempt the extra point. The kick is up, and it is good. If Ken Anderson would have done that for you more often, Bob Trumpy, you'd still be playing.
I don't want to.
Kick to Nesby Glasgow. He'll field it at the 10-yard line. 20. Outside at the 30. No, never reached it. Great tackle by Randy Grossman, number 84. Here it is again, Bob.
Okay, here's Barry Krause on Bennie Cunningham on this screen.
Well, on certain defenses, you know, I might have man-to-man coverage and certain defense of zone. But as far as looking for Cunningham, you know, you got to be able to prepare yourself mentally and physically, because, you know, he's a great athlete, and you got to be able to get over there and cover such great runners as he is.
Barry Krause should have made the tackle on Bennie Cunningham at the 10-yard line and didn't.
27-yard line. Greg Landry is 73 yards away from the go-ahead touchdown with 5.5 minutes to play. Throws it down here, and it's almost intercepted. In and out of the hands of Dirt Winston. I think it went right between his hands. I'd have to see it again, but he looked like the primary receiver.
He was open. He was open, but that's why he plays defense. He's not supposed to catch it. Landry forced that one. As I said, now that Pittsburgh's ahead, they'll put 7 or 8 guys back there in coverage, and that would have been a tough catch. Dowdy was right there, though.
Fred Smerlas has picked up a loose fumble and run it 13 yards. It's Buffalo 40, the New York Jets 24. We'll give you another one in just a minute. You folks in Detroit will be happy about the next one. Second down. Washington, a couple of yards, almost to the 30-yard line. Greg Landry's team may be trailing here in Pittsburgh today, but his former teammates in Detroit are doing very nicely, thank you. Rick Kane, a 26-yard run with 9.5 minutes to play, fourth quarter. The Lions lead the Falcons by 8. Here it's Pittsburgh 17, Baltimore 13. Bradshaw and Knoll look a little bit more content. They're not out of the woods yet, though.
No, not by a long shot, and I still don't understand why Baltimore is running the ball inside the tackles to Joe Washington. They got to get it down the field. There's only 4:51 left in this game.
Third down and 7. McCauley in the lone setback. Woodruff and Lambert in the nickel defense for Pittsburgh. Landry throws it out here to McCauley. 35, first down at the 40. Isn't he amazing? Isn't he something else? Don McCauley gets a big first down at the 41-yard line.
As you said, for Baltimore, he is the counterpart for Rocky Bleier on the Pittsburgh team. Anything you want him to do, he'll do it. He can play quarterback. He'll block for you. He'll catch the football. He'll run it. He gives 130%. This is a good look off by Greg Landry. Finds McCauley underneath, no coverage, right between Ham and Dirt Winston for the first down.
They spot the ball just over the 40. Baltimore not only battling the Steelers, but they're battling a moving clock here. Throws it out here, and Roosevelt Leaks cannot hold on. He got hit at the same time he caught the football by J.T. Thomas, and he could not hold on to the ball. You know, the amazing thing about McCauley is that he only plays part of the time. He entered this game as the third leading receiver in the AFC. Granted, Baltimore throws to its backs more than most everybody else, but that's still a pretty good stat. He's caught 3 or 4 today.
I like him. I've always liked him. First-round draft choice out of North Carolina.
He speaks very highly of you, Bob.
Well, as well he should.
So it's second down and 10 at the 40-yard line. Baltimore trailing for the first time today here in Pittsburgh. Landry on every down now. Throws it to McCauley at the 50 into Pittsburgh territory. And down at the 46, another Baltimore first down. And he even beat the double team that time.
Out of the backfield, that's where you're going to get yardage against that total zone coverage by Pittsburgh. And he goes out for a play. Rosie Leaks comes back in. Ted Marchibroda's got to be happy. Well, we keep saying it, but it's worth repeating. McCauley underneath all the coverage. Goes right into the teeth of the zone, but Landry with a good pass. McCauley with a good catch.
First down, Baltimore at the Pittsburgh 46. Washington on the sweep. Cut it back inside the 45 to the 43-yard line. Ken Huff, the 5-year veteran out of North Carolina, led the sweep, and then Joe went off on his own and picked up a couple of yards, but you almost have to improvise sometimes because the Steeler defense has such great lateral movement. That flow is there, and you got to go on your own.
That's a very active defense. Their linebackers are very active back there, and all they ask their outside linebackers to do is just string it out. They got to get the ball down the field. There's only 2:56 left to go in this football game. They got to have a touchdown to win.
All they ask McCauley to do is come in and make the big plays. He's done it 4 or 5 times today. Second down, 6 Baltimore. Roosevelt Leaks runs into Gary Dunn, and that's as far as he goes. Pushed all the way back to the 45-yard line, but they'll give him his forward progress, and look who's coming in on third down. And this may be the biggest play for Baltimore with 2.5 minutes to play in the game, and they're losing 17-13. A field goal will do them no good.
And why would you take McCauley out to begin with? Leave him in there for 3 plays. Keep throwing it to him.
I can't answer it, Trumpy.
I haven't won a game yet as a head football coach, so I'll be quiet for a while.
That man can answer it. Maybe we'll ask him after the game. Ted Marchibroda. Third down, 5 Baltimore. This picture will tell you everything, and this crowd will tell you if they don't make it. Tipped up and knocked down. Tom Beasley reaches reached a big paw up and batted it down. And Marchibroda has indicated he wants to go on 4th down.
Comes down to one play. 2 minutes left. 1:59 left. Comes down to one play. 4th down. 4 yards to go. I would imagine they'll go to McCauley.
Oh, we've reached a 2-minute warning in one heck of a football game. Hope you're enjoying it. 17-13 Steelers. We'll be back for Baltimore's 4th down play. Sam Nover, Bob Trumpy back in Pittsburgh. This football may have come down to this last play. 4th down, Baltimore, 5 yards to go at the Pittsburgh 41-yard line. Baltimore trails 17-13. They obviously need the touchdown. Throws the home run ball downfield, intercepted by Jack Lambert, would you believe?
I don't believe it. I do not believe it. Sprained shoulder on Friday. Greg Landry went to the sideline for that play. I do not believe it.
And all of his teammates realizing what incredible pain he must be playing in. He's only played in certain situations on 3rd and long today. And Lambert with the biggest play of the game thus far.
I do not agree with that call whatsoever. 5 yards to get McCauley in the backfield. They're going for the whole thing.
Lambert had him covered like the proverbial blanket. So Pittsburgh back on offense needs to tick off a minute 50 and win their 4th straight game.
This Bud's for all the people who make the sidelines a part of the show.
This Bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you, that distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do,
this Bud's for you.
So following the Jack Lambert interception, Pittsburgh has it 1st and 10 at their own 11-yard line. They lead at 17-13. Bradshaw would like to pick up at least one 1st down. He may have it on the first carry as Thornton gets it all the way out to the 18-yard line. That's a big play because they can run a couple now and kill the clock or make Baltimore use all of their timeouts here.
Sam, if I may go back to that play, Joe Washington on Jack Lambert, Jack Lambert on the interception. May have been a little harsh on Ted Marchibroda or his coaching staff. The idea was good. That is, isolate Joe Washington on Jack Lambert. Maybe half of the blame goes to Greg Landry for trying to force it in there like that. Not a bad day for Sidney Thornton replacing Franco Harris. But I still don't understand why they tried to go for the distance rather than just get the 5 yards. With McCauley in the backfield, he's been their best receiver all day, and they go away from him.
Don't forget all the scores and highlights around the National Football League. Follow us on NFL Report out of New York with Bryant Gumbel and Mike Adamle. Bradshaw and Knoll having a little set-to along the sidelines. Baltimore has but one timeout remaining. At least that's what the scoreboard says.
That's a real brain trust for Pittsburgh. Terry Bradshaw and Chuck Knoll, they've turned a lot of doubters into fans over the last few years.
You better believe it. Nothing succeeds like success. Oh, I hate using trite expressions, but
it's true.
It is.
You're right.
Blyer and Hawthorne are in the backfield now. Thornton came out. I think he was just battle-worn, that's all. I don't think anything serious.
Great game for him.
He's heading for the dressing room, in fact, and walking under his own power, so he's done for the day. Blyer trying to get the 1st down. Nope, good defensive play by Lyle Blackwood, the former Cincinnati Bengals, 7 years out of Texas Christian, and puts the Steelers in a little bit of a trouble now. With 3rd down and 6, they had hoped to pick up the easy 1st down, and Baltimore uses its last time out as Thornton heads for the dressing room. Don't forget that tonight on NBC, great family entertainment as usual. It all begins with Walt Disney's Wonderful World. The Love Bug, Dean Jones, stars as a race driver who hits a winning streak after acquiring a car with a personality of its own.
A what?
A what? My kids will be watching The Love Bug. And then following that, it's Clint Eastwood starring in The Outlaw Josie Wales. All this tonight, of course, beginning 7 o'clock Eastern Time on the NBC television network. Hope you'll be with us.
Sam, this is an incredible win for Pittsburgh. This may really help them for the rest of the year. Playing this game without Franco Harris, Jerry Mullins, Sam Davis for most of it, Lynn Swan out with a hamstring. Defensively, L.C. Greenwood, Steve Furness, Ron Johnson, and still beating Baltimore 17-13. No telling what this may do for him.
You might throw in Lauren Taves, who we haven't even
Taves.
mentioned all day. He was definitely out from the word go.
Bradshaw out for a little bit with a good stick between the shoulder blades.
On the other hand, I got to think this is a big morale booster for Baltimore, even if they don't win it.
And the game's not over yet, Sam.
3rd down and 5. Baltimore out of timeouts, I believe. The scoreboard shows them with none. Bradshaw to throw it out here for Jimmy Smith, and he overthrew him. It was a sideline pattern, just trying to pick up the 1st down, so Baltimore will get the football back again.
And Baltimore can say thank you very much for stopping the clock.
Landry will have to go with no timeouts.
With Roger Carr and Joe Washington, they got a chance. I can't understand why Pittsburgh would, on purpose, stop the clock. They could have gotten 60 more seconds off the clock.
Nesby Glasgow, who ran one back 62 yards for a touchdown against the Lions in the preseason, has got himself positioned at about the 44-yard line. Craig Colquitt, 2-step punter, gets off a line drive punt. Glasgow at his 47, fair catch.
We still got us a football game,
You bet
Sam.
we do. Landry needs the 6 points. He's got 1:22 to go, some 54 yards, 37 yards on the punt by Colquitt. What a game, 17-13 Pittsburgh.
Try desperately, if you're on offense, to get out of bounds anytime you catch the football. Call 2 plays in the huddle. Make sure that everybody knows what's going on. Come up with a standard formation. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, will be playing back there in the nickel seats to make sure they stop the touchdown. They don't care about a 15-yard reception. They want to keep them out of the end zone. Let's see what happens.
Just as I said, Lauren Taves has not played. He makes his first appearance in the game. He throws it down here for Carr. Landry does. And it's out of bounds. Lauren Taves on for the first time today, I believe, number 51. So they've got Ham, Lambert, and Taves at the linebacking spots.
And Baltimore's got to go down the middle. They got to get it to the tight end. They're going to protect the outside. Reese McCall has got to be open down the middle. If he can beat the linebacker, he's going to be open.
2nd down and 10. Landry unofficially 14 out of 29, 175 yards today. Glenn Dowdy goes wide right. Reese McCall, the tight end, and Roger Carr is the other receiver as Landry rolls out, throws it back here to Washington. They're all around him as he reaches the 46-yard line.
Get up, no huddle.
A gain of about 8 yards. It's going to be 3rd down and 2 now for Baltimore. And you see the clock inserted, under 1 minute to play. Landry in the hurry-up offense needs the 1st down, throws it here. He's got it at the 40-yard line. Fumble after the whistle, but Washington got the 1st down, and he was really decked. And he is still down.
Call timeout. Call timeout. Okay, the official did.
Well, Baltimore doesn't have any timeouts now.
No, I meant the official. I don't mean Baltimore.
I'm saying you are right. They needed the official to stop the clock because Baltimore could not do it on its own. Are they giving him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation?
No, they are not.
It looked like it.
No, they are not. Here's the hit by Jack Lambert, who was not supposed to play. Oh, on the sideline. Well, you got to play when you're injured. You don't play when you're hurt. Obviously, Jack Lambert was injured but not hurt, and he just crushed Joe Washington. And that's a big threat out of Baltimore's backfield. If they can get him the ball on a screen or something, he might be able to break it loose. Watch this hit. Greg Landry once again. Underneath. Underneath. Kiss.
Wow.
That hurts. I've had that happen to me right there at about that spot. Knocked 18 hours out of my life.
Looks like overtime in Cincinnati. Chris Barr has hit a 55-yard field goal with 3.5 minutes to play. Houston and Cincinnati are deadlocked at 27.
That's his longest field goal ever, 55 yards.
I'm sure his brother Matt would be thrilled to learn that. You want to run down to the field and tell him?
No, thank you. I've made my trip to the field.
Yes, I know. Well, Washington, good to see him up. McCauley now, I presume, will go the rest of the way with only 40 seconds showing on the clock. He has proved to be very durable, even though his durability has been questioned during this broadcast.
That was the tag against him coming from San Diego, but you're right. I mean, as I said earlier, he carried a ball for 956 yards last year.
Here's Baltimore now. They have a 1st down at the Pittsburgh 41-yard line. McCauley in the backfield. Landry throws it over the middle. He's got his tight end, Reese McCall.
Leaks.
No, Leaks, I beg your pardon, number 48. And he gets it down to the 32-yard line. And the clock continues to move. Landry's going to have to throw one up in the stands to stop the clock. Nope, looks over the middle again, and Leaks could not hold on to it. And this time, the Steelers were there. Lambert, 58, had the coverage, but the incompleted pass stops the clock with 19 seconds to go.
Well, would you try the alley-oop here, Sam?
I don't know what I do, Bob.
You got to get it down in the end zone. Take a chance with pass interference or something. You can't continue to throw it to the backs underneath. Give your guys a chance. Throw it down there. See if the officials are doing their job. Have everybody jump up, somebody fall down, hope for a flag.
I think I do all of that.
On this play.
Roger Carr is out. Brian DeRue, number 87, is in. Landry throws it over the middle. It's knocked down right in his face. Vanazak. I don't know whether John knocked the ball down or not. I think Joe Green got a hand up there and batted it back at Landry. So it's going to be 4th down. Carr is back in and DeRue is out. Here you go, Bob.
Well, that's exactly what you want your defensive linemen to do, especially in this situation. Once they get control of the offensive lineman, get your hands up. Mean Joe Green. How many years has he done that for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Forever. Let me tell you something. Also, speaking about linemen, the Colts offensive line has played one whale of a game. I don't think that Landry's been sacked but 2 or 3 times, and this is the same offensive line that gave up 10 sacks against Tampa.
4th down.
There's his prayer into the end zone. Incomplete.
No flag.
Carr had the coverage, or rather J.T. had the coverage on Roger Carr, and that should do it. Carr wants the interference, but he will not get it.
They should have tried it twice.
I think now in retrospect, your point is well taken. So Pittsburgh will take over at its own 32-yard line, and victory number 4 appears to be in the pocket.
Without 11 starting players.
Not without a tremendous tussle.
Sidney Thornton gets my game ball today.
Bradshaw will presumably fall on the football. Baltimore cannot stop the clock. And that will do it. And the Colts can hang their heads very high. They have played an outstanding football game against the best of the National Football League. The Pittsburgh Steelers have come from behind to beat the Baltimore Colts 17-13. Bob, your final thoughts?
Coming into this game, not knowing all the injuries, we thought it was going to be the Lions and the Christians, the Colts against the Steelers. With all the injuries, I think it's a very big win for Pittsburgh. They're trying to repeat as Super Bowl champions, and I think this goes a long way to do it. Thornton, the touchdown on the screen pass to Bennie Cunningham, everybody played very well against a great deal of adversity. Baltimore has nothing to be embarrassed about. They played very well.
Steelers have to go into Philadelphia next Sunday to meet the Eagles. As you see Chuck Noll come off the field, and Terry Bradshaw, who took quite a lick in the second half but came back as he normally does to spearhead and lead his team on to a great come-from-behind victory. And I think all that's had to be said really has been said. Great comeback by Pittsburgh, and Baltimore distinguished itself today, although they are now 0-4. Pittsburgh wins it 17-13 over the Colts.
Ooh.
Promotional fee has been paid to NBC by United Airlines. United's building the largest airline in the world around you. Fly the friendly skies.
Once again, the final score, the Pittsburgh Steelers 17, the Baltimore Colts 13. The executive producer of NBC's football is Don Ohlmeyer. Coordinating producer, Ted Nathanson. Today's telecast was produced by Kenneth Edmondson, directed by Jim Cross. Technical director was Arnold Rand, our associate producer, Mike Hadley, and our associate director, Randolph Wands. Don't forget, we'll have baseball for you next Saturday on NBC. Sports World follows that, and we'll bring you the CART Michigan 125 auto race from Brooklyn, Michigan. NFL 79 next with all the scores from around the league right after these messages from your local stations.